Welcome to Fantasy Audiobook. I Luffy, Awakened Sun God. Chapter 41. Hearing Luffy's words, Vivi was shocked. Isn't that a 7 warlords of the sea? This. Perhaps, it's really not an exaggeration to say this from the mouth of Luffy, who has a bounty of 1 billion. Luffy and others took Vivi on board, ready to go to Alabasta. Next island, Little Garden. To get to Alabasta, there are 2 more islands to pass through. Vivi also has some knowledge of sailing, which is just right for Nami to enter the teaching space. Because there are 2 islands to pass through, and each island has to stay, so that the record pointer is magnetically full, so Luffy and others think that it may take 2 months to get to Alabasta. Vivi is grateful, Luffy and others help her, then she will do her best for the next voyage. Nami enters the teaching space and chooses the Garp template, and one of the most famous meteorologist templates of all time. Luffy is sure that after Nami comes out, his strength is stronger than when the original plot was the strongest. Knowing and armed, they are bound to become grandmasters, and they will also have the ability to be good at them. Using the weather stick, physical skills will not be bad. Nami also felt that this time had to take the opportunity to enter. After all, there were 5 people on board. She was too weak. Luffy, Zoro, Sanji, and Usopp were all strong. Although she was a woman, she couldn't hold back. Nami entered the teaching space and felt the cruelty of the environment here, but he was also excited. This kind of environment is better. After that, the sailing begins. Naval Headquarters. Sengoku contacted Aokiji. Knowing that it would take Aokiji more than 2 months to find the Straw Hat crew, Sengoku gave up. Although the time was a little longer, it only made the Straw Hat crew live for a while longer. Once encountered, facing Admiral, no matter how powerful they are, they will definitely be caught. No matter how outrageous the newcomer is, it is impossible to escape in the face of Admiral. Garp was slightly relieved when he found out, but his heart was still heavy and he would meet him sooner or later. Fortunately, Aokiji rides a bicycle and is relatively lazy. If he drives a warship, it will be much faster. When Akainu found out, he was angry. Humph, killing evil. Kuzan, this guy is so slow, what is he doing? In the office, Akainu's mouth was heaving, thinking that if he went by himself, he would be arrested like a thunderbolt. I was busy with work before, so was Kizaru, so I chose Aokiji. Akainu's heart was low. Straw Hat crew, you are lucky. Akainu thinks that Luffy and others are lucky. If he was chosen, Straw Hat crew would have been captured earlier and impelled down. For this new sin, it is still so famous, 1 billion Baileys in a short period of time, unprecedented. Akainu really wanted to kill quickly with his own hands, so he asked for his life. I hope I can deal with the Straw Hat pirates. This made Garp's face darken while sitting on the sofa. If it was Sakazuki, then. Aokiji's words are okay, he took care of him many times when he was young, but Sakazuki, cruel and resolute, treats pirates extremely cold-blooded. Move Sakazuki, then Luffy and the others are really in danger. Garp glanced at Sengoku, and was nervous. If he agreed, it would really be over. Even Garp was thinking, if Sakazuki really acted, should he take action or not? Although he insists on his own position, that is his own grandson. My grandson is in danger, can I still keep my position unswerving? Garp thought of this, and he didn't even know it. Akainu looked at Sengoku with anticipation, waiting for Sengoku to reply. I think it should be no problem. After all, the Straw Hat pirates are too popular, and Marine and the world government naturally hope to win it quickly, so as to deter the pirates in the whole world. It can also reduce some rookie pirates going to sea. After all, such a powerful newcomer who became famous all over the world as soon as he went out to sea, but was caught soon, what about the new monster, who was still caught by Marine, enhancing the deterrence of Marine injustice? Then, those who are quite pirates will naturally decrease and be affected. Sengoku is the resourceful general, and naturally he can think of the benefits of winning the Straw Hat pirates. Although it is famous and a newcomer monster, it is also a good thing in disguise, as long as you catch the Straw Hat pirates. Sengoku shook his head, which made Akainu frown. Sengoku said, no need, Sakazuki, 1 admiral has already been sent, and it is impossible to send another one. After all, it is a rookie pirate group. Although it is powerful, it is not enough to send 2 admirals, and it is not the 4 emperors. Akainu doesn't want to give up, but... Sengoku interrupted. Don't think about it, Sakazuki, you must know that the enemy of justice is not only one, but all evils. There are many powerful pirates in the sea, especially the 4 emperors. The headquarters go out to 2 admirals, too. There are risks. Sengoku thinks conservatively. Indeed, it is impossible for Admiral of Headquarters to go out all, and it is basically impossible to go out 2 at a time. After all, there are still 4 emperors in the sea, and if they take advantage of it, they will lose more than the gains. Although there is still him, Garp, in the headquarters, but it is not enough. Kizaru was busy with other things, so it was impossible for Akainu to leave as well. Sakazuki can only nod reluctantly. Got it. Sakazuki left with a gloomy face. Kuzan, although you are lazy, you should be fine, don't fail, let me look down on you. In the office, Garp breathed a sigh of relief. Fortunately, Akainu was not allowed to go. Otherwise, it's really over. Maybe the Straw Hat Pirates won't encounter Akainu and Aokiji at the same time, but they will encounter Akainu first, which is more dangerous than encountering Aokiji. So Garp thinks, maybe there is still hope, it just depends on whether Aokiji will nostalgic and compassionate heart. However, as Akainu said, who is lucky? ... Before I knew it, 2 months had passed since Nami entered the teaching space. At this point, Luffy and others were about to leave the Drum Island, and Nami was also coming out. Whoosh! The next moment, Nami appeared in front of Luffy. The appearance has changed, it is more beautiful, Hungarian is also bigger, and the figure is more popular, no longer orange short hair, but long hair. The appearance has changed a lot, and the strength has changed even more. Nami is happy, she knows her strength best now. It's not better than Luffy, Zoro, Sanji, but it's pretty good. The 3 of Luffy are the 3 main players on the ship, so they can't be compared, but now their strength can at least not hold back, and even play a role. When Nami came out, he gave Luffy a hug. After all, it's been 2 years, and Nami misses it so much. Nami, your physical skills, hockey, the weather bar's ability to use weather is very strong. Luffy asked curiously. Nami smiled proudly. Of course. Zoro has some headaches, and it will be even more painful to beat us in the future. What? Nami found a small reindeer, looked at Luffy, and wondered, a pet on the boat. I'm not a pet, Chopper stressed. Huh, can talk. Nami was startled. Luffy opens Shikai release. Nami understood. After 2 months outside, Luffy first went to Little Garden, then Drum Island, something happened, and they met Chopper. And now, Chopper is ready to leave, the 6th crew. Nami felt very good. The Mary is moving away from Drum Island, sakura flowers are falling. Chopper looked at Drum Island, a little reluctant. Dr. Dolly, I'm leaving. My adventure is finally about to begin. Chopper was looking forward to it, and he was eager to go to sea. Luffy and the others were happy, drinking and hilarious. Usopp shouted, Chopper, don't be in a daze, come here and play together. Sanji pulled Chopper over and said, let's sing together. Zoro handed out the wine, let's have a bar together. Chopper is a little uncomfortable, and some don't fit in. Nami said, you have also become a partner of this group of crazy stupid guys. Chopper muttered to himself, companion. Yes, everyone will be companions in the future, so you must get used to it. At this time, Vivi caught the fast running from the sea to the boat. Running fast, shivering, freezing, the Drum Island and the surrounding area snow all the year round, and the river is very icy. Vivi was puzzled. Run fast, why did you fall into the sea? Zoro sneered. Ha, probably slipped and fell into the sea, what a stupid duck. As Chopper got closer, he heard how fast he was running, and he understood. Chopper looked at Zoro and explained, it said that there was a man named Zoro swimming in the river, and he disappeared, thinking he was in an accident, so he jumped off, and that's what happened. Zoro. This made Zoro a little embarrassed. He swam just now, and he didn't know the east, west, north, south, and south for a while, and it took a long time to find it. Vivi was surprised. Chopper, can you understand what you say run fast? Chopper nodded. Yes, because I'm an animal, I can talk to animals. Nami's eyes lit up and exclaimed, Chopper, you are amazing. I didn't expect not only Grandmaster's medical skills, but also such abilities. Chopper was a little embarrassed to be praised, and he was scolding, and he really looked like he was enjoying it. Idiot, even if you praise me like that, I won't be happy. Zoro and the others were startled. Chopper Grandmaster Medicine. Nami was stunned. Hey, I'm not here all this time, you don't know. Then why did you let Chopper on board? Nami was speechless, and he had just communicated with each other, but Zoro and the others didn't even know how they got along during this time. Sanji said, 7-stage transformation, interesting reindeer. Luffy said bluntly, emergency food. Huh, Chopper was startled. Nami punched Sanji and Luffy directly, with a bag on the head. You guys are really speechless. Chopper is a ship doctor. I know better than you when I first came out. Sanji and Zoro also understood. That's good, it just so happens that there is no ship doctor on board. Nami is now looking forward to. Luffy has a bounty of 1 billion, Zoro has a bounty of 350 million, and Sanji's bounty will come out sooner or later, not low, and Usopp. I don't know how much my bounty can be. Luffy said. If you make a big fuss, there will be. Nami also thought so, nodded. Well, then go to Alabasta to make a scene, to be precise, make a scene with the Baroque studio. Nami's words make Usopp and Sanji want to make a big fuss as soon as possible, and then they too can be rewarded. What Usopp yearns for, he will also have a reward, and he is getting closer and closer to the brave warrior at sea. Sanji is looking forward to his handsome photos on the board, to be seen by beauties all over the world, knowing his existence, name, ability, chef, gentleman, handsome, how perfect. In this way, there is no need to worry that no woman will like it in the future. Thinking of this, Sanji's eyes were filled with pity, and he couldn't wait. Alabasta is about to arrive. Then the 7 warlords of the sea, leave it to me to solve it. I want to see my bounty list as soon as possible. Luffy sighed inwardly. Sanji, the bigger the expectation, the bigger the disappointment. Sanji naturally didn't know what his bounty list would look like. Luffy knew it, and sympathized with Sanji. Of course, Luffy sympathized with that man more. Luffy said, okay, then Alabasta, Sanji, I'll leave it to you. This surprised Vivi. Facing the Baroque studio, all the staff did not do anything, only let Sanji do it. Will it be too big? But, thinking of Luffy's words, isn't it a Shichibukai? Maybe, it's self-confidence. Both Luffy and Zoro want to know more about Sanji's current strength, so when the time comes, let Sanji solve it first. Vivi stepped forward and said, are you dealing with Crocodile alone, or are you dealing with the entire Baroque studio? Zoro said, he dealt with Crocodile alone, the rest of the Baroque studio, leave it to me. Vivi got it, and Sanji thought it was okay to go heads up. It's okay to single out the entire Baroque studio, I can do it. Sanji wanted to pretend in front of Vivi and glanced at Zoro. I don't need your help. Nami reminded. Even if you are very strong, but it is 7 warlords of the sea anyway, you can beat him alone, but there are so many capable people in his studio, if you single them out, plus Crocodile, it will be very good. Work hard, just do as Zoro says. Sanji nodded immediately. Okay, Miss Nami. Vivi introduced. Then let me tell you about the members of the Baroque studio, so that you too can deal with it when the time comes. It's like this, although the names are complicated and diverse, it's actually not complicated. The top is the boss, Crocodile, also known as Mr. Zero. 12 men, and 1 animal, directly under Crocodile, Mr. 1 to Mr. 13. These guys are each teamed up with a female partner. Mr. 1 and Miss are combined on New Year's Day, and Mr. 2 is the only one without a partner. Mr. 3 is the candle man I met in Little Garden, and the partner is Miss Golden Week. The combination of Mr. 4 and Miss Christmas, and Mr. 5 and Miss Valentine, you also know, and you solved it. Mr. 1 to 5 are all senior agents, and they are all demon fruit power. Only important missions will be dispatched. Mr. 6 to 13 are ordinary employees, and their strength is not very strong. So Zoro, your opponents are mainly 7. After listening to it, Zoro felt that it was very simple. Although there are many people, these add up to not Crocodile's opponents, so it will be easy. After listening to it, Sanji felt that he could try to destroy the Baroque studio by himself. In this case, it's not very powerful. Shall I try it alone? Sanji suggested. Vivi shook his head and reminded. It's time for the two of you to do it, because the Mr. One is very strong. He has been with Crocodile for a long time, and he is a dice fruit capable person, and his swordsmanship is not weak. Zoro was slightly interested. Then don't let me down. After learning about it, Luffy and others went fishing. Also, Chopper is gone for a while, apparently entering the teaching space. The templates that Luffy asked Chopper to choose were Garp templates, Kaido templates. Mr. Guy, there is still a lot of stuff. After Chopper knew about the teaching space, he was willing to enter and wanted to become stronger. Although he is a doctor, it is best to help him in battle, and it is best to keep his companions from getting hurt. Chopper looks forward to hearing about the Garp template, which can teach taijutsu well, the Kaido template, which can teach Haki, and the Fruit Awakening. It's just that Chopper is reluctant to think of 2 years, but in order to become stronger, 2 years of practice is necessary. Chopper begins his practice in the teaching space. Luffy and they are looking forward to how Chopper will change after it comes out. Even Luffy is looking forward to where it will go. Luffy can't imagine. Sanji and Zoro, he can imagine some, but Chopper's words, Luffy is curious how far it will reach. I was wondering if I could wake up after I came out. After all, there are Kaido templates. Sailing for 7 days, getting closer and closer to Alabasta. The ingredients prepared by Drum Island have also been eaten, and Luffy, Zoro, and Usopp are fishing. Luffy rubbed his stomach. I'm so hungry, the fish still haven't taken the bait. Usopp has a headache. Luffy, it's not because you ate all the bait that you can't catch it now. Very hungry. Luffy rubbed his stomach, growling. Everyone else was hungry too, let alone Luffy. Luffy asked, Sanji, are there any ingredients on the ship? Sanji nodded. Yes, hurry up and get the ingredients. Luffy looked at the boat, and soon his eyes stopped on the fast-running body. Running fast, he immediately became uneasy, and being stared at by Luffy, he became more and more uneasy, and shivered, thinking to himself, wouldn't he want to eat himself? Luffy pointed to run fast and asked Vivi, can you stew it? For a time, he ran so fast that he jumped into the sea in fright. Vivi stroked his forehead and said, definitely not. Okay, there is a way. Luffy's eyes lit up, and he watched the man who jumped into the sea run fast. Run fast and be afraid, don't you let yourself go. Luffy's hand suddenly stretched out, grabbed it quickly, and dragged it up quickly. Running fast, scared and struggling. Vivi worried. Luffy, what are you doing? Luffy will run fast tied to the bait, and put into the sea. Vivi was speechless and seemed to understand. Usopp's eyes lit up, and that's okay. Usopp understood. This method is good, I hope it will fall to the shark. Luffy thinks it's not enough. Catch a sea kings, it's enough to eat. This sounded like a quick runaway and cursed in my heart, sea kings, it's scary. Luffy comforted. Run fast, don't worry, I won't let you have an accident. Vivi also comforted. Run fast, you can act as bait, trust Luffy's strength. Run fast and then calm down and soak in the sea. The method was successful, and soon, a shark fell and was handed over to Sanji. Not enough, keep going. Soon, a giraffe-like, fish-like, 10-meter-long sea kings appeared. Usopp, it's over to you. It is good. Death, flame ball. Boom, there was a sudden explosion, the flames shot into the sky, and the sea kings screamed and floated on the sea. Luffy praised. Usopp, amazing. Hee 2 years of practice is not in vain. That's it, enough ingredients. Luffy began to wait. At this time, Vivi's face changed and looked forward. What is that? On the sea ahead, green steam was surging. Vivi felt that she couldn't get close, and now she acted as a navigator. Vivi told the Mary to stop first, thinking at the same time, got it. I get it, it's water vapor, there's a volcano on the bottom of the sea, you can move forward but it will be a little hotter. The Mary moved on, into the steam, really hot and choking, smelled of sulfur, and couldn't see anything. Vivi said, everyone bear with it, and they will pass through soon. Just then, another ship also entered. There were 3 people on the boat. The leader was sitting in the middle, looking like a ladyboy, with a pair of white swan wings behind him. It was Mr. 2, Bentham. The subordinate reports. Lord Bentham, there is smoke ahead. It's okay, rush over to me. Lord Bentham, isn't there any danger? Mr. 3 must be solved, or my life will be in danger, move on. Yes. When the ship sailed in, it was their screams. After passing through, the two men were startled to find that Bentham was gone. Where's Lord Bentham? Hurry up and look for it on the boat. At this point, the Mary was passing through the steam, and Luffy and Usopp were about to close the rod and pull up the run fast, but somehow it felt a little heavier. However, when he was halfway through and looked down, Usopp was startled, but Luffy was not surprised. There was a man with him, Bentham. Bentham was a little confused. Why am I holding a duck and floating in the air? Usopp was taken aback. Is he human? I thought it was a little weird goose. Luffy said. Obviously it's a human, not a goose, let alone eat it. Bentham let go and fell, weak, calling for help. Save me, I'm a landslide, Gululu. Bentham sank and was quickly rescued by Usopp. Bentham kept coughing, relieved, and saved. Hey, I thought I was dead, but I was rescued by a pirate I had never met before. I will never forget your great kindness and virtue. I, Bentham, will repay any kindness, and I am very loyal. Usopp asked. You can't swim. Bentham said bluntly. I am demon fruit power. Usopp got it, like Luffy. Soon, Luffy, Usopp, Chopper, Bentham, the four of them played together. Before long, Bentham's ship came. Bentham walked to the bow, jumped on it, turned his back to Luffy and the others, a little regretful. My ship is here, and it's time to part. It's a pity. Although I didn't know each other for a long time, it was fun to play, and Usopp was a little reluctant to give up. Don't go, just play for a while. Bentham looked like a ladyboy, but at the moment he was manly, standing up straight. Don't be sad, there are always encounters and partings during the journey, but as long as this is not forgotten, our friendship. Even if we spend a short time together, we are still friends. Goodbye. Bentham jumped onto the boat, and his opponents said, let's go. Yes, Mr. 2 Bentham. The ship sailed away very quickly, with a fast-spinning turbine on the bottom of the ship. Usopp et al. Mr. 2. Usopp and the others looked at Vivi. Didn't you recognize it just now? Vivi shook his head. No, I haven't seen him before. I only knew he was a tall ballerina, but I didn't expect it to be him. Usopp's face was heavy. Such an ability is terrible. After all, it is to make Alabasta turbulent, and it can become any shape, such as your father. Vivi's face was heavy, thinking of this, then this ability is indeed terrible. After Bentham got on the boat, he danced the ballet on one foot and was very happy. The subordinate wondered, Lord Bentham, why are you suddenly so happy? Bentham is happy, because I have gained a small friendship. Bentham is looking forward to seeing you again, and if any of them encounter difficulties in the future, he will definitely help. Soon, the Mary was approaching Alabasta, and the desert could already be seen. Luffy and others tied a white bandage on their left hand and knew Bentham's identity to prevent the other party from becoming an undercover agent. Luffy and the others stood in a circle, stretched out their left arm, looked at the white bandage on the wrist of the left arm, and said condensedly, this one on the left arm is the sign of the companion. Then, let's land. Luffy and others went ashore, and Luffy couldn't wait to run up first. However, soon got lost. Luffy is naturally intentional, and he is looking forward to it, because he is about to meet Ace. Vivi and Sanji, Zoro and the others are together, and Luffy is also relieved, everyone's strength is very strong. When Sanji came to town, he liked it very much. Because it was very hot, the women wore very few clothes. The navel was exposed, and the upper body basically only had an apron. Sanji had a lot of nosebleeds along the way, but couldn't help but want to see it. Vivi reminded, how do you deal with Crocodile after you were like this? Don't watch it, continue to bleed, and you won't faint. Usopp said, it's okay, Sanji won't let himself faint. All right. At this point, Crocodile already knew that the Straw Hat crew was going to help Vivi against him. Crocodile naturally knew about the Straw Hat Pirates, and even more about Luffy. A bounty of 1 billion Baileys. Even so, Crocodile is not afraid, even if he faces Whitebeard, he will fight with him, so what about a billion bounty? After taking a cigar and breathing in smoke, Crocodile said solemnly, "Come on, 1,000,000,000 heads, I'll take them." Saying that, he raised the golden hook on his left hand with a sneer on his face. At this time, in the town of Alabasta, a restaurant. Ace is eating here, stacking more than 20 bowls. Came here to ask if anyone had seen Luffy, but no. Full of food and drink, Ace is ready to leave. But then, Smoker came in. Smoker noticed Ace, and said solemnly, "You were really brave, you dared to eat in front of the public, captain of the second team of the Whitebeard Pirates, Portgas d Ace." When the owner of the store and the people around him heard it, their expressions changed greatly. Whitebeard Pirates. It is impossible for no one to have not heard of it. Those are the 4 emperors, and they are called the strongest 4 emperors group. The captain is a man who is self-improving in the world, and can be said to be the strongest pirate group. That young man turned out to be the captain of the second team of the Whitebeard Pirates. So young, yet so powerful. The logo on his back is familiar to me, the logo of the Whitebeard Pirates. Why is he here? Everyone was surprised and puzzled. Smoker is also puzzled. The famous big pirate, what did he want to do when he came to this country? Ace turned around and said bluntly, "I'm looking for someone, my brother. I want to eat." At this moment, Smoker and Ace were startled. Everyone was stunned, because the shouting came from outside. The sound was so loud that it seemed to resound throughout the town. Luffy came to the town, smelled the food, and ran. After seeing the restaurant, his eyes lit up, he ran at full speed, his saliva couldn't stop flowing, and he could have a big meal. Too hungry and too thirsty to eat meat and drink juice. Although it sounds familiar, Smoker doesn't care about this. Since the opposite is a pirate or the Whitebeard Pirates, he must do it himself. Smoker clenched his fist in his right hand, and the smoke wafted up, ready to strike. Rubber. Rocket. Luffy couldn't wait. His hands stretched out and grabbed both sides of the dining room door from a distance of 100 meters, and then instantly ejected. With a swoosh, he bounced into the restaurant and hit Smoker's back directly, and Ace, who was facing Smoker, was also hit. With a bang, a hole was smashed into the wall of the dining room. The people around were staring at their pockets, and Luffy jumped back to the bar, impatiently. "I finally found the restaurant. I can finally eat. I'm starving to death. Hurry up." Knowing that the other party is not easy to mess with, the store owner motioned to the waiter who served the food to bring the food here. Looking at the seafood ramen, big fish and big meat, Luffy went crazy. Really delicious. The shop owner was stunned, he could eat more than the one just now. The shop owner kindly reminded, "Well, you'd better escape quickly." Why? Luffy didn't realize it yet. It's not easy to provoke the 2 people who were blown away by you just now. Luffy was startled. 100 meters away, many houses had a hole through. At the end, in the ruins, Ace and Smoker crawled out. What is that? Ace and Smoker didn't do it directly, but walked straight down the holes to the restaurant. After entering, Ace was pleasantly surprised. Luffy. Smoker froze. Straw Hat. Seeing Ace, Luffy's eyes lit up, and he jumped straight up. "Ace, long time no see, I miss you so much." Ace is also very happy. "Long time no see." Smoker looks ugly. Fire Fist Ace, Straw Hat Luffy, this. It is impossible for him to be an opponent. He has fought with the Straw Hat, and the gap is too great. Luffy and Ace shook hands, put them on the bar, and wrenched their wrists. The 2 were in a stalemate. Ace was shaking, because he was dying, and it was very laborious. And look at Luffy, very calm. With a bang, Ace's hand was crushed on the table and he lost. Ace praised. "I haven't seen you for more than 3 years, Luffy, your improvement is really great, the bounty doesn't seem to be exaggerated, it's really amazing." Ace was surprised. He knew that Luffy was better than before, but he didn't expect it to be so powerful. He was very curious about how Luffy had cultivated in the past 3 years. Ace sighed. "Luffy, it seems that you are better than me." Luffy said modestly, "It may be strong in terms of strength, but Ace, you have eaten Mara fruit, you can't say for sure." Ace smiled. "My bounty is only 500 million Bailey." Luffy smiled. "It's not necessarily about the bounty." Smoker watched the 2 brothers recognize and talk, not knowing what to do. "Go on, you can't beat it, you can't go on, as Marine, the shame of justice." Do you think I don't exist? Smoker was a little annoyed. Ace remembered. Yeah, there is another trouble. Luffy looked over. It's you, Smoker. Although it is not your opponent, it must be done. Smoker is smoky all over his body, ready to do it. Luffy started directly. I'll knock you out, and it won't be embarrassing. Luffy raised his right hand, instantly pitch black, and punched out quickly. With a bang, Smoker was difficult to dodge, the gap in strength was huge, and he was directly blasted out. Smoker thinks so too. Although it's a bit shameful, he can't beat it. And, he was thinking about contacting Aokiji. After being blasted away, Smoker stood up from the ruins 1,000 meters away and called the Marines over. Spread eyeliner and watch their whereabouts. Yes. Smoker calls the phone bug and contacts Aokiji. Aokiji, who is riding a bicycle leisurely in the ocean, is enjoying it. Poro Poro. The phone bug rang, and Aokiji connected. Kuzan Admiral, it's me, Smoker. It's you, what's the matter? Marshal Sengoku put me in charge of looking for the Straw Hat crew. Now I met them. They came to Alabasta. Now the Straw Hat is not far from me. Where have you been? Aokiji said embarrassedly. Well, sorry, is it in Alabasta? If I want to get there, it will take 3 days. This made Smoker's face a little ugly, and it was still 3 days away, but it was okay. The Straw Hat crew had just arrived in Alabasta, and it was impossible to leave in 3 days. Okay, Kuzan Admiral, I'll keep an eye on the Straw Hat crew and wait for you in 3 days. It is good. Hanging up the phone, Smoker was a little confused, and pitiful glanced in the direction of the restaurant. As soon as Kuzan Admiral arrives, you're all done. Fire Fist Ace, Straw Hat Luffy, there's a moment of silence for you. Luffy is going to find his companions and go with Ace. Ace sighed. You still haven't changed at all. There is only one thing that surprises me, your strength. Ace didn't expect Luffy to become so strong, although the specifics are not clear, but perhaps not inferior to himself. Thinking of the 3 brothers, Luffy was the weakest as a child. Ace couldn't help laughing. It's just a hint of sadness in the depths of his eyes. It would be great if he was by his side now. But Ace knew that was impossible. Luffy could feel the sadness deep in Ace's eyes, and knew that he wanted Sabo. Luffy wanted to say that if there was a chance, the 3 brothers could get together again. But of course we can't say that. First of all, if we really want to get together again, we have to rewrite the ending of Dingshan. Ace was curious. By the way, what kind of people are your friends? Luffy is very proud. My partner, there are 5 now. Although not many, they are all powerful. Luffy introduced. There are swordsmen who want to be the world's greatest swordsman, and navigators who like money and oranges and want to draw a complete world map. Then there are chefs who can cook well and are very strong. There is also a great sniper who always tells some lies, but I think it will come true. Also, there is a partner I just found recently, a reindeer. After listening, Ace smiled and said, your preferences are really colorful. Luffy said, there is also a princess and duck, who are also friends, and everyone is very interesting. Walking in the alley, suddenly, in front and back, and on the roof, many people stood up. It can be said that there are people in all directions, some with knives, some with guns, all of them are fierce and vicious, and they have obviously killed a lot of people. 2 guys with high bounties, 500 million Fire Fist Ace. 1 billion Straw Hat Luffy. We're going to make a profit. Although powerful, we are all bounty hunters, so many people, there is hope. With so many guns aimed at them, no matter how powerful it is, it will be the end. ... Luffy is helpless. There is always a shortage of scumbags in this world. The key is to be too ignorant. Ace glanced at Luffy and asked, Luffy, are you coming or me? Luffy said lightly, I'll come. Luffy didn't move, just raised his head sharply, his eyes narrowed, and haki sideways. In an instant, Conqueror's haki swept across. In an instant, Ace was shocked and his face changed. This. Bang bang bang. Soon, the surrounding bounty hunters fainted and fell to the ground one after another. Even if they were a little strong, they fainted. Ace is not shocked that Luffy has Conqueror's haki, but this Conqueror's is so strong that even a little bit of strength faints. Ace has seen red hair, and he has also seen the red-haired Conqueror's haki. At that time, he felt that he was indeed the most haki man in the world. Conqueror's Haki is also a world number 1, dealing substantial damage. Although Luffy can't do the actual damage of Conqueror's Haki yet, but Ace thinks it is possible. Ace exclaimed, "What a strong Conquerors! It's impossible to stun all these people with Conquerors." Looking at the surprised Ace, Luffy smiled, "Let's go." Luffy walked forward, Ace calmed down and quickly followed. In front of him is a younger brother that he is familiar with, but he is a little unfamiliar. But Ace is happy in his heart. This is better. After all, this world is still very dangerous. Just at the beginning, he has not encountered a very powerful enemy. Ace thought to himself, "This way I feel more at ease." Later, Luffy and Ace came to where the Mary was docked, and Zoro and the others were there. Getting on the boat, Luffy said, "Ace, this is what I just told you, my buddy." Ace said friendly, "My brother has been taken care of by you, and I will take care of him in the future." The Mary sailed away, but behind came 5 large ships, each with hundreds of people. Vivi's face changed. It's the ship of the Baroque Studios' billions of elders. Ace jumped onto his own boat and said, "Leave it to me." Zoro looked forward to it. Let's see the strength of the second team captain of the Whitebeard pirates. Flames erupted under Ace's feet, and the dhow sailed forward quickly, approaching the 5 large ships. Whoosh! After getting close, Ace jumped up. The people on the boat sneered. "Jump into the air, court death. See how you dodge, shoot." Shooting. Full fire. ... Boom boom boom. Swoosh swish. Immediately, a hail of bullets, dense black cannonballs blasted towards Ace. However, Ace's whole body was on fire, and bullets and shells did not make any difference. Ace's fist was on fire, and the flames surged and slammed out. Fire punch. Boom. What? Huge flame fists swept out, smashing all the 5 connected ships to pieces, bombarding constantly, and the flames filled the air. In the next moment, everyone was buried in the sea, leaving only the wreckage of the burning hull floating on the sea, filled with gunpowder smoke. Usopp was shocked. "It's amazing." Chopper's eyes lit up, as expected of Luffy's big brother. Soon, Ace came back, and Sanji went to prepare food and wine. After it was done, Luffy and the others ate, drank and talked together. Ace praised, "Luffy, your cooking skills are really good." Luffy giggled. "The first is not an exaggeration." Ace doesn't think it's an exaggeration. He thinks it's really amazing. Although the number of people is small, all of them are top-notch. To become the world's number 1 swordsman, there is the potential of the world's number 1 chef, the potential of the world's number 1 navigator, the potential of the world's number 1 sniper, and the world's number 1 doctor. Luffy, on the other hand, wants to be the pirate king. Such a pirate group is really good. Luffy wants Ace to join, but knows it's impossible and won't say it. Luffy asked, "Ace, are you here for me?" Ace shook his head. "It's a chance encounter, I'm actually chasing a man." This lets Luffy know who it is. Zoro and others were curious. The man that Fire Fist Ace chased was definitely not ordinary, and they listened quietly. Ace's eyes were cold. "His name is Blackbeard." Luffy wouldn't persuade Ace not to catch Blackbeard, knowing that persuasion was useless. 2 days later, Ace left. Luffy knows. See you next time, it's the top. Luffy and others went directly to the Baroque studio. They were so powerful that they could break through directly. When the time came, Crocodile had already led his men out. Sanji and Zoro take a step forward, ready to do it. This made Crocodile frown slightly. "Aren't we going to go together?" Sanji breathed smoke. "No need." This made Crocodile angry, and it was an absolute disgrace, contempt. "Then deal with you first, and then deal with others." Zoro rushed to the other cadres, but Mr. One blocked Zoro. Zoro is slightly interested, knowing that this is the strongest under Crocodile. "Don't let me down." Zoro's fighting spirit rose. Knowing that the other party has a bounty of 350 million, Mr. One did not dare to be careless and directly use the fruit ability. His arms turned into knives, and he rushed forward quickly. Zoro took out the words Hidaoi, and faced Mr. One's quick slashes, easily and continuously blocking. After blocking 10 moves, it was generally clear, and Zoro felt bored. That's all. With the knife in Zoro's hand, Mr. One was directly knocked out. This made Mr. One shake. What a powerful force. This knife almost made him fall to the ground, and his body was almost out of control. Don't underestimate me too much. Mr. One fully motivated the dice fruit ability, and he became as hard as steel. Kill people. Mr. One's entire body is instantly invulnerable, and when using slash, the hardness will increase again. Zoro slashed with a knife, feeling slightly okay. It's barely okay. The clanging continued. Zoro swung the knife at close range, sparks flying everywhere. Mr. One's heart was shaken, because Zoro just swung his sword normally, and his sword skills were useless. And he can be said to go all out, but the blades keep colliding, and his arms are still numb from the shock. Moreover, Zoro is like a beast, fighting more and more fiercely, and gradually can't support it. Zoro intends to fight quickly, although this guy has some strength, but the gap with himself is still too big. Next, one move will solve you. Zoro retracted the scabbard of Hidai, holding the scabbard in his left hand and the scabbard in his right hand, crawling forward, in a posture of drawing the sword. This made Mr. One not dare to be careless, knowing that the other party wanted a quick solution, which was a bit shameful. Although you are very powerful, but if you want to solve me with one move, don't be silly. Mr. One defends himself with all his strength. Dice Fruit's body is harder than steel, and it is impossible to solve himself with one move. Zoro's eyes were cold. He suddenly drew his knife, and a low voice sounded. One sword, IHE, black sword, death, the lion sings. Hidai's text suddenly turned into a black knife, and Zoro had already swept behind Mr. One the moment he drew the knife. The knife slowly retracted into the scabbard, and at the moment when it was fully retracted, Mr. One screamed. What? At the same time as the screams, a large amount of blood was splashed in the chest. Mr. One rolled his eyes, bleeding from the corners of his mouth, and fell to the ground with a bang, and the ground was quickly stained red with blood. This made Crocodile startled, and a second move. The other cadres were shocked. Mr. One was much stronger than them, but this Zoro gave him a second. In fact, it can be faster, but Zoro is an ordinary slash at the beginning. Vivi was shocked. It's amazing. The other cadres gathered around, and Zoro was not very interested. The most powerful thing is this, you make me feel uninterested. Black rope, big tornado. Call. After one move, all the other cadres were rolled up, screamed and fell to the ground. Zoro withdrew his knife, walked back into the team, past Sanji and said, let's solve it as soon as possible. Sanji said, don't worry, it won't be slower than you. Puff. In an instant, Sanji's right leg ignited an orange flame and jumped up. Devil's foot, kick. Crocodile wants to elementalize, but finds that he can actually hurt himself, armament hockey. Sanji kicked out his feet in an instant, all over the crocodile. Crocodile's face was heavy and painful. Luffy waited, and the current opponent really wasn't interested, not even Crocodile. Desert sword. The sand-condensed knife slashed out, but was easily dodged by Sanji. Sanji stepped in the air and moved quickly. Crocodile vibrates. So fast. Whoosh. Sanji kicked off and Crocodile drank. Desert sword. Crocodile slapped his hand to the ground, his arm turned into a sand blade, and instantly slashed from the ground below Sanji like a great sword. This move is very fast. Luffy remembers that Akainu was slashed in half by Crocodile on the top of the mountain, of course, without causing any damage. Sanji doesn't have devil fruit, nor Logia, but still dodges with his own speed. Observation hockey is also superb. Sanji's strength, above Crocodile, cannot be avoided. Boom. The roar erupted, and Crocodile was kicked out, bleeding from the corner of his mouth. Vivi's eyes lit up this look, and Sanji clearly had the upper hand. Thinking back to Luffy's previous words, it's not really an exaggeration. Crocodile's face was ugly. The straw hats, it wasn't Captain Luffy who did it, he did it himself, it was too shameful. Salin. It's all crushed. Woo-hoo-hoo. The sandstorm appeared in the palm of the hand, and when it was shot, it was huge in an instant, and it became bigger and bigger with the whistling. Crocodile was ready to go, because it continued and he couldn't control it. Sanji rushed straight to the storm, and the demon wind kicked out. Devil's foot, veal shot. This kick is extremely powerful, and it directly kicks the storm away. This surprised Crocodile, so strong. Crocodile's face was ugly, how could he be so strong? Sanji breathed in smoke. In this battle, we must defeat you quickly, so that my reputation can be heard in the world and more beautiful women know me. Sanji was thinking about whether or not to use the magic god Windfeet, but after thinking about it, forget it, no need. Although this crocodile is Shichibukai, it is not very powerful in Shichibukai. Sanji charged up again quickly, unleashing a ferocious kick. Crocodile fought with all his heart, and his face was extremely ugly. He never imagined that it would be so hard to deal with a cook in the Straw Hats. Even to be precise, not an opponent. This guy is so strong, so how strong is the Straw Hat? Crocodile only knew of two powerful members of the Straw Hats, Luffy and Zoro, but he didn't expect there to be such a powerful one. Zoro returned to the line and began to wait. Vivi is happy, facing the Straw Hats, the Baroque studio is no match at all. Crocodile's face was heavy, and he fought again for a quarter of an hour, still unable to defeat Sanji. And his injuries are getting worse. Can't beat Sanji, let alone Luffy, and even Zoro. Crocodile gave up, knowing that he had lost, and turned into a storm, taking Mr. One away. But then, I met Smoker. Smoker has been following the trail of the Straw Hats, and when he came here, he also learned about the battle between the Straw Hats and Baroque Studios. Therefore, with the fine tradition of Marine, it is natural that Crocodile will not be spared. Smoker said solemnly, I'll arrest you, and send it to Impel Down, or do you want to do it? Crocodile said coldly, stop talking nonsense. The battle unfolds. Even though Smoker's strength is inferior to Crocodile, he still has other troops, and, with Mr. One seriously injured, Crocodile's situation is not optimistic. After a period of fighting, Crocodile was captured. Soon, Naval Headquarters, Sengoku knew about it. Sengoku shakes, and the Straw Hats have another powerful guy. Starting to identify the identity, Sengoku has set a reward and selected a portrait. But after knowing the identity, helpless, the portrait can only be changed to hand-painted, and the bounty cannot be too high for any reason. Sengoku decided. The bounty is set at 200 million Bailey. Yes, defeated Crocodile, neither high nor low bounty. Garp frowned. Defeat Crocodile, and from the intelligence point of view, it is not difficult, just 200 million. Sengoku nodded. Well, there are other factors, so I won't talk about it. Sanji's bounty list begins. Meanwhile, the Alabasta Palace, in celebration, held a banquet. Huge thanks to the Straw Hats, Vivi and Alabasta. Knowing Crocodile's conspiracy, I am glad to have met the Straw Hats, and I am glad that the princess can know such a friend. While Vivi was grateful, she was a little reluctant and sad in her heart. Because they know that they will leave soon, after the magnetic force is full. Soon, the Straw Hats easily defeated the 7 warlords of the sea crocodile, which spread and was discussed in many parts of the world. The Straw Hat Pirates are really famous recently. Yeah, the most eye-catching rookie pirate group. It's amazing. It wasn't the Straw Hat Luffy or the pirate hunter Zoro who defeated Crocodile, but another. The Straw Hat Pirates are not many, but they are all powerful. The reward list is out. Ah, is this the black-footed Sanji? He looks so ugly. Yeah, so ugly. It's the ugliest person this lady has ever seen, vomit. At this point, Sanji was happy, knowing that his reward list was bound to come out. At the same time as the banquet, Sanji fantasized happily. My bounty list will definitely captivate a large number of girls. It's great, I'm excited when I think about it, and I'm so happy. Sanji's eyes were filled with peach hearts, and he was very happy. Just then, a soldier came in with a reward list. My lords, your bounty list has been released again, and the rest remain unchanged. The bounty has come out for the first time, Lord Sanji, who was selected. Sanji was excited and rushed up immediately, impatiently. He doesn't care how much the bounty is, the most important thing is the portrait he chooses. Let me see which handsome photo I chose. This. The soldier was a little embarrassed. At first, he thought it was not, but when he saw the name, Pirates, he knew it was. Don't get your hopes up. This makes Sanji puzzled. What does it mean? After taking the reward list, Sanji suddenly petrified. Blackfoot Sanji, the chef of the Straw Hat Pirates, defeats Crocodile. Due to the failure to obtain the photo, the avatar of the reward list is hand-painted, and the reward is 200 million Bailey. Sanji was petrified, and the color of the whole person was dim. Sanji, what's wrong with you? Usopp was puzzled. Sanji shivered all over and exploded with anger. Who drew it? This is me. Sanji was furious, thinking that this painter's skills are too bad, wouldn't he just learn it? How can you draw so badly? Sanji wanted to cry without tears. He thought that everyone knew how handsome he was, but now everyone knows that the chef of the Straw Hat Pirates is an ugly guy. This made Sanji collapse. What he was most looking forward to was that his handsome photos would be spread all over the world for more women to see, but it was like this. Usopp took a closer look and fully understood. It's outrageous too. It's Sanji, but it's not. Say it's not, it's a bit similar, but it's ugly. Zoro took a closer look, smiled, and at the same time wondered, why do you emphasize live capture? Sanji calmed himself down. Maybe he understood why he didn't paint like himself, or failed to get the photo, it must be fake. Hey, Sanji was very helpless, it would be fine if he came from an ordinary background. After a while in Alabasta, Luffy and others left. After saying goodbye to Vivi, the Mary continued to sail, but with one more person on board, Robin. Nami and the others were unexpectedly puzzled. Luffy, really? Luffy turned his head and smiled. It's okay, she's not a bad person. Nami and the others are helpless. Well, Luffy is so sloppy, but he has never made a wrong decision. Before I knew it, Chopper had entered the teaching space for the past 2 months. During this time, I have also gotten to know Robin well. After Chopper came out, I was very happy, because the strength improvement was too great. Teaching the space environment has a multiplier effect. Although it is very hard, it is also very effective. There are also teaching templates, which are completely teaching, too strong. Chopper's own physical skills, as well as seeing, hearing, and coloring, Armament Hockey's master, has made great progress in the development of fruits. Luffy asked, how's it going, Chopper? Chopper was excited. Luffy, the template you recommended to me is really good. Teacher Guy is very good at teaching fruit development. This let Luffy know that it seems that the Chopper has changed, and the improvement is really big. The crew members were also happy, and as a result, the combat effectiveness of the Straw Hat Regiment increased again. Now Luffy, Zoro, Sanji, Usopp, Nami, Chopper, have all entered the teaching space. Only Robin is still on the ship. After meeting Robin, Chopper knew that they were new partners. Nami asked, Robin, do you want to enter the teaching space for 2 months? Robin shook his head. Now, forget it, there are important things to do. Luffy also understood. Yes, because it was coming to Sky Island. After leaving Alabasta, I passed by Goat Island, Lulugia Island, and now, I am with the big talker, Nolando's descendant, Curry Guy. Luffy and others have been told about the rising ocean current, but it is dangerous, and the failed ship will shatter when it falls. Hurry up and catch this guide bird. The ocean current that will go from bottom to top tomorrow is located at the right man on the Cape here. Do you know how to get there? Once you go out to the sea, you don't know the south, east, north, and west. Usopp and others listened to Curry Guy's words, and they were still a little puzzled. Why did they look for a guide bird? As a navigator, Nami got it. I understand, this time the target is not an island, but an ocean current, so it's useless to record the pointer. If you want to go south, you have to use the habits of guide birds. Curry Guy headed. Yes, there are creatures in nature that have the right magnets in their bodies to know exactly where they are. Luffy smiled. Ha ha ha, Zoro is not as good as an animal. Zoro listened helplessly. Are you still qualified to talk about me? Nami said. You two, stop arguing, half a catty. Usopp and they understand why they want to find the guide bird on the pointed map. To go to Sky Island, you have to get the upwelling current, and finding the current is a must, so you must find the guide bird. Luffy and others set off and went to the island forest to find it. Curry Guy reminded. At least one must be found before dawn, otherwise the next upwelling current will not know when. Got it, we'll find it. Luffy was firm. It must be found, and Sky Island is a must. Robin wants to go up the most, which is why he doesn't enter the teaching space to improve his strength. After so many years of hardships, Robin is most aware of the importance of strength. If he is strong enough, he does not need to join the Baroque studio. It is great that he can complete it by himself. But know that it is impossible, so if you can become stronger, you will naturally not miss it. But not now. Shortly after Luffy and others left, a pirate ship approached, the Bellamy pirates. After entering the forest, Luffy also knew what would happen next. After all, he knew the plot. So, of course, I have to go back. Luffy made an excuse to go back, knowing that the fight might have begun. Curry Guy looked at Bellamy and the others and asked in a deep voice, "What do you want to do?" It can be seen that the other party is not good. Bellamy smiled savagely. "Hey, I like to grab other people's desperate treasures, it will be a lot of fun. So, understand what I'm here for." This made Curry Guy's face sank. "Do you want to grab his golden guide bird?" The people of the Bellamy pirates attacked directly, but they were quickly overwhelmed by Curry Guy. Bellamy didn't panic at all, but smiled arrogantly, knowing what to do. Spring Sniper. Bellamy's body squatted down, and his legs suddenly agitated like a spring. Under the elastic force, it shot out suddenly, and the speed was so fast that Guy Curry couldn't react. The spring is not only fast, but also strong, and the speed and force are stronger. A violent punch hit Curry Guy's abdomen, and he was directly blown away. He vomited blood, and fell to the ground with serious injuries. Bellamy sneered. "Too weak." Bellamy signaled his men to act, and when he entered the room, he saw the golden bird on the table. His eyes lit up. "The bird of gold, sure enough. Ha ha ha, it's ours. I haven't harvested such a treasure for a long time. ... After taking it out, Bellamy was also happy and in a good mood when he saw it. "Okay, little ones, get on the boat and go back to Magic Valley Town." You don't have to go back." Suddenly, a cold voice sounded, making Bellamy startled. Looking at the reputation, I found that their ship was empty, and a figure appeared, wearing a straw hat. Third gear, giant pistol. Under the horrified eyes of Bellamy and the others, the empty figure on the boat suddenly slammed down like the fist of a giant. Boom, click. In the roar, their ship shattered directly and sank into the sea. Bellamy was angry. His face was extremely ugly, and he recognized it. Straw Hat, Luffy. Bellamy's face was ugly, the veins on his angry face were wriggling, and his boat was gone. A straw hat. Bellamy's face was low and his teeth were gritted. Luffy fell to the ground, looked at the golden bird in Bellamy's hand, and said solemnly, "Give him back what Uncle has." Bellamy smiled and said sarcastically, "How could you, who are also pirates, say such a thing?" Bellamy's legs were like springs again, and his fighting spirit rose. "Just let me see your strength and how to reach 1,000,000,000. Bellamy was ready to go, looking at Luffy with no intention of doing anything. "Why don't you hurry up to use your ability? For example, the third gear just now, I heard that you have a second gear that can increase the speed. Hurry up and enter this state." Bellamy didn't rush in directly, but wanted Luffy best to get into a stronger form. Luffy shook his head. "I don't need the fruit ability to deal with you with 1,000,000,000. This made Baramy's face instantly gloomy, and he gritted his teeth in anger again, looking down on himself too much. "Then, let me solve it. Straw Hat with 1,000,000,000 reward." Spring Sniper. Whoosh. Bellamy rushed over quickly, and in a flash, the wind whistled. The power of the spring is strong, and it is stronger at speed, and it feels like it can knock Luffy down with one punch. Seeing Luffy standing still, Bellamy smiled. "Can't you escape? 1,000,000,000 is just like that." However, without touching substance, Bellamy slammed into a distant tree. Looking back, Luffy was clearly still there. No, not right. Bellamy's pupils shrank, not still in place, but moved a little bit, maybe just turned sideways and avoided it. Luffy said lightly, "It's so slow." This made Bellamy's heart rise with anger. "Stop talking like that. My performance has just begun, so let's get to the climax now. You better continue to despise me like this, you will pay a heavy price." Spring. Jump people. Immediately, Bellamy bounced out, but the target was not Luffy, but quickly bounced around. With the help of any surrounding buildings, houses, rocks, trees, the afterimages are constantly bouncing around Luffy in all directions. As you bounce, the speed gets faster and faster. Even Curry Guy couldn't catch Bellamy's figure, as if he had disappeared. Curry Guy was shocked and worried. It's so fast, as it keeps bouncing, it's getting faster and faster, and it's even hard to see, as if it disappeared. Luffy, you can deal with it. Bellamy kept bouncing, laughing as he moved quickly around Luffy. Are you friends with Guy Curry? These people have friends, don't tell me, you also believe their words. Ha ha ha, it's a ridiculous kind of thing. Treat the nonsense of the ancestors 400 years ago as treasure, what a stupid idiot. Go to your golden country, go to your Sky Island, the days of daydreaming are long gone. ... Bellamy's crew watched with laughter and sympathy at Luffy. It's really stupid, I believe that. Bellamy's speed has reached the limit, and he is about to attack. He will fall down in the next second. He didn't know that he would attack from that direction. Even if he knew, he wouldn't be able to react. Yeah, it's too fast, and the power will be the strongest. ... Bellamy ejected for a while, with speed and strength reaching ultimate, and suddenly shot Luffy from the front. From his point of view, Luffy couldn't see, let alone react. Bellamy got closer and closer to Luffy, and said in a low voice, "Goodbye, Straw Hat Boy." However, in an instant, Luffy's fist raised and slammed down heavily. Boom! What? With a scream, Bellamy's body suddenly smashed to the ground, creating a deep pit. Luffy punched Bellamy on the head and slammed into the ground. He rolled his eyes, vomited blood, and shattered a lot of teeth. In an instant, the surroundings were quiet. There was no more bouncing, no more discussion, and they all stood there dumbfounded. Luffy picked up the golden bird and handed it to Curry Guy. Curry Guy was shocked. His ability was useless. He beat Bellamy with one punch. He was too strong. Run! Others did not have the idea of saving Bellamy, and ran away directly. The strength gap was too great. However, easily resolved by Luffy. Soon, Nami and others came back and found the guide bird. Robin is looking forward to it, and he can go to Sky Island tomorrow. Luffy was also slightly looking forward to it. All along, the only powerful enemy he encountered was Hawkeye. Now his own strength, Crocodile, Smoker, etc., is too far behind his own. Bellamy can't compare with himself. Therefore, Sky Island Luffy is slightly looking forward to it. After all, it has Enel, the extremely powerful devil fruit in Logia, and even in the entire devil fruit, it is an extremely powerful existence. In the original plot, although the second gear can't beat Enel by himself, the protagonist has a halo. So this time, let's have a real fight with Enel and experience the true power of Thunder Fruit. The next day, early in the morning, Luffy and others boarded the boat, and the guide birds were released. Immediately, the Mary began to sail. Luffy secretly said, "Sky Island, I'm here." Chapter 51. Curry Guy beckoned from the shore. "Little brother, we are here to say goodbye." Luffy nodded heavily. "Well, see you later." Curry Guy said, "There is one thing, you must understand. Golden Bell and Sky Island, no one has proved its existence in the past. Some people may laugh at me and say that this is made up, but what's wrong with this? This is the romance of a man." Luffy nodded in agreement. The Mary sailed away, and Guy Curry was very grateful. "Thank you for helping me get the golden bird back. I hope you are all right, but don't fall from the sky." Not long after the voyage of the Mary, the sky above the sea was cloudy. However, only that piece of sky is covered with overcast clouds. Nami said condensedly, "The Emperor cloud appeared earlier than we expected, but we have not yet determined the position of the current from the bottom to the top. I hope we can catch up." Soon, the Mary approached the massive Uzumaki stream and was about to fall into a vortex. Whoosh! The ship lost weight and fell instantly. Usopp despaired. "It's over, I'm going to fall." Puff! However, just after falling, it fell to the sea. This made everyone startled and surprised. Vortex disappeared. The boat is on the sea. The vortex that big just now, bottomless, disappeared suddenly. I thought I was going to fall into it and it was over. Gudong, Gudong. Nami heard the movement and realized it. Everyone is ready, it may be about to start, the upwelling current is coming. This made Usopp and the others nervous, and the impact must be great. After all, they can rush to Sky Island with the boat. At this point, Curry Guy was sitting on the island, looking at the sea, smoking a cigarette. The cigarette butts beside him piled up into a mountain. Curry Guy said to himself, "This is the first time in my life that I have met such idiots as you, dream-chasing fools." Although Curry Guy said this, he smiled, believing that Luffy and the others could succeed. I also believe that the words of our ancestors are true, not empty. If you can't see it yourself, let Luffy and the others verify it. Curry Guy believes that Luffy they can do it, they will do it. At this time, the sea near the Mary. A simple sailboat made of many pieces of wood sailed, with 4 people on it. The pirate flag, 3 skulls, obviously, the Blackbeard pirates. The 4 above are Blackbeard, Badgers, Van Oka, and Poison Q. How, did you see anything? Blackbeard asked Badgers, who was observing with a telescope. Badgers shook his head. No, I didn't even see the shadow on the other side. Is there really any Sky Island? Are they really going? Blackbeard said solemnly. You can't let them go to the sky, otherwise it will be troublesome, but it will be difficult to complete our task. Blackbeard's face was sullen. Straw Hat Boy Luffy, a wanted criminal with a bounty of 1 billion. Badgers put down the telescope and looked into the distance, a little incredible. The sky in front has darkened, and the dark clouds like Uzumaki look very depressing. Blackbeard looked excited. Right there, fast forward, and fix it before they leave. At this time, the sea where the Mary was located was calm. But everyone's face was solemn, knowing that it was the calm before the storm, and that the upwelling current was coming. Go 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 go. The movement is getting bigger and bigger, coming from the bottom of the sea. Luffy and others knew that, sooner, it was about to erupt. You stop. Don't go. A low voice came from a distance. Luffy looked at the sound, and the first thing he noticed was the pirate flag, which made Luffy's face sink and he knew who it was. On the boat, Zoro, Sanji, Usopp, Nami, Chopper, Robin also looked over. Pirate flag, the 3 people on the boat, they have never met. Badgers and Poison Q quickly paddled with wood pulp on both sides of the front of the boat, and 2 people stood at the front of the boat, Blackbeard, and Van Oka with a gun. Blackbeard's eyes lit up, found, and let out a unique laugh. The thief, ha 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 ha, I finally found you, Straw Hat Luffy. Sanji wondered, who is this? Luffy said, he's the guy Ace is going to catch. In an instant, Sanji and the others knew, Blackbeard. Blackbeard, Sanji and others are also very hostile and disgusted. I learned from Ace that they are traitors and killed the captain of the 4th division. Blackbeard's voice was low. Straw Hat Boy, I'm here to take your billions of heads, wake up. Thief, ha 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 ha. After the boat approached, no longer rowing, Blackbeard, Van Oka, Badgers, all ready to start. At the same time, below the Mary, the seawater surged like a huge fountain. Nami said condensedly, the rising current is about to start. They are going to attack us. What should we do? We can't let them affect us at this critical moment. Sanji, they are heavy, indeed, now is the critical moment, to start. It's okay for the other party to be a small character, but having Ace hunt them down himself is obviously not ordinary, perhaps even stronger than Crocodile. In a short period of time, it may not be possible to solve it. The 4 Blackbeard pirates should also be very powerful. Find a place to duel. The Straw Hats are not afraid, but now I am a little worried that something will happen. Boom, 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 ... Suddenly, loud and low footsteps sounded. Nami, Zoro and others all looked over, it was Luffy. Luffy was silent, and walked towards the bow with a gloomy face. With his head down and his straw hat covered, Zoro and the others couldn't see Luffy's expression, but they could feel that Luffy was in a bad mood. Never seen Luffy look so low, even angry. Luffy said, it's okay, they'll give me a quick solution. Whoosh. In an instant, Luffy jumped up and rushed into the sky. Luffy high in the sky, black clouds overhead, Whitebeard pirate ship below. The 4 of Blackbeard looked up. They didn't care, they were ready to fight, but the next moment, the smiles on their faces froze. And Nami, Zoro, Sanji, Usopp, Chopper, Robin were all shocked and shocked. Luffy's expression was low and angry, and his right hand suddenly stretched out into the sky. Rubber rubber, puff. Suddenly, the arms and fists that stretched to the sky became pitch black, covering armament hockey, and flames suddenly rose. In an instant, the dark sky was illuminated by firelight. Between heaven and earth, it is no longer dark, and it is red. The next moment, on the Blackbeard pirate ship, Blackbeard, Van Oka, Badgers, and Poison Q all changed their faces. Eyes widened, pupils constricted, frightened, disturbed. Luffy growled. Fire fist. Gun. Luffy punched, and the expressions of Blackbeard and the others changed drastically. This fell as if not a fist, but a flaming sun. Boom. The Blackbeard pirate ship didn't have time to dodge, and Blackbeard and the others didn't have time to fight back, so they could only defend. In the roar, the Blackbeard pirate ship collapsed directly, accompanied by the screams of the 4 Blackbeards. Rumbling. The bombing sounded, and the flames filled the air. Luffy fell and stood on the bow of the Mary, and the rising current lifted the Mary high. Luffy looked down at the wreckage of the ship floating on the sea, as well as Blackbeard and the other 3 who were scorched black, rolled his eyes, bleeding from the corners of his mouth, and looked painful. Luffy's aura at this time was like that of an emperor. I don't have time to spend with you, so let's do this first. Chopper. Usopp's eyes sparkled, and he couldn't help cheering. So handsome. That's cool, Luffy. Zoro, Sanji and the others are also shocked. This punch is too strong. Also, the visual impact is too great. After being surprised, they were surprised. Nami was surprised. Luffy, why did your punch just now have flames? All of them were surprised and puzzled. It was obviously a rubber fruit. Why did the attack just now have flames? Luffy didn't say that he was actually a phantom beast, the sun god. Luffy explained. Friction and fire. This made Nami and others understand, and there is only this reason, rubbing with the air to catch fire, otherwise how could the rubber spontaneously burst into flames? Usopp praised. However, he is really handsome. Chopper exclaimed. It's so powerful. It sank them to the bottom of the sea with one punch. I don't know if they are alive or dead. The upwelling current swept up, and the Mary rushed high into the air. Luffy looked at the sea below and said, they shouldn't die, that would be too weak. This time we are in a hurry. The next time we face them, it will be a real battle between pirates. Zoro, Sanji and the others also know that they won't be destroyed just like that. That would be too inferior, and they are not qualified to be their enemies. Where the Blackbeard pirate ship was silent, the sea was hot. At the bottom of the sea, Badger's vomited blood and burned his body, but he still woke up. Badger's face changed, and he held his breath and quickly looked for Blackbeard's figure. Soon, I found out, I saw Blackbeard who was constantly sinking and rolled his eyes weakly. Badger swam over quickly, and after getting close, he held Blackbeard and swam to the sea. Fanoka was in pain all over his body, but he insisted on dragging Poison Q to the surface. Emerging from the sea with a puff, Badgers laid Blackbeard on his stomach on a floating charred log. Fanoka and Poison Q also found a piece of wood lying on it, floating. Fanoka looked at the sea column rising into the sky, connecting the sky and the earth, and it was difficult to see the shadow of the Straw Hat pirate ship. Fanoka had lingering fears and was fortunate. So strong. I didn't expect the Straw Hat to be so strong. Although it is 1 billion, I feel that the strength is definitely not 1 billion. Now that he has seen it, he is fortunate. Fortunately, the Straw Hat pirates had something to do and left on the sea, otherwise they might be wiped out in a real battle. Captain, are you all right? Badgers shook Blackbeard, knowing that Blackbeard was the most injured. After all, the dark fruit ability suffered twice as much pain as ordinary people. Moreover, Badgers found that the punch from the Straw Hat just now was precisely aimed at Blackbeard. Therefore, Blackbeard was the most seriously injured, and as a capable person, he sank into the sea and now fainted. With the shaking, Blackbeard gradually woke up. The moment he woke up, Blackbeard was screaming in pain. Hey, it hurts. When he woke up and remembered what had just happened, Blackbeard grinned, the Straw Hat. Blackbeard's body was charred and painful, his face was sweating, his eyes were angry and cold. Badgers rejoiced. Phew, fortunately they went up, otherwise it would be dangerous. HMPH. Blackbeard snorted coldly, not necessarily. It said so, but Blackbeard was shaking. Badgers thinks that maybe not necessarily, the ship knows how to hide. Blackbeard was unexpected, he didn't expect the Straw Hat to be so strong. The move just now shocked them. Not to mention the power, what shocked them was the momentum of the Straw Hat, and the most important thing was the flame. It's obviously rubber fruit. Why did he hit Fire Fist? I don't know why he thought it was Fire Fist Ace. However, This fire fist gun is faster and stronger. Blackbeard's face was ugly. What kind of monster is this straw hat? Why can rubber fruit burst into flames? This punch hurt me so much, and the ship was destroyed. Blackbeard's face was a little overwhelmed. He wanted to take down the Straw Hat crew, but he was stunned. Badgers was also puzzled. Yeah, that's too good. It's rubber fruit, not the Mara fruit owned by Fire Fist Ace. Fan Oka guessed. Maybe it was caused by friction with the atmosphere. That's the only way to explain it. Blackbeard felt the same way, and it had to be. Blackbeard looked up and frowned. I underestimate you, Straw Hat, your strength is stronger than I thought, and now I want to take you down. It's really hard to say. But sooner or later, I will solve you, I the one who wants to become the Pirate King. When it came to the end, Blackbeard was full of ambition, and he couldn't even wait. He had already thought about it, and just waited. Obviously, coveting shock fruit, when the time comes, it will be simple and easy to destroy the Straw Hat group. Blackbeard ordered. Leave here and return to Magic Valley Town for recuperation. Poison Q, are you alright? I have to wait for you to treat me. Although Poison Q looked terminally ill, it was nothing. It's okay, you can get treatment right after you go back. Okay, we have to change the target. Blackbeard's eyes turned cold. Now he doesn't dare to provoke the Straw Hat, and he is very strong. Fan Oka was curious. I don't know if that punch just now is one of the strongest moves for him. Blackbeard is also curious about the real strength of the Straw Hat, but he will know sooner or later. Moreover, Blackbeard is confident that no matter how strong he is, he will definitely not be his opponent in the future, and he will be the ultimate winner. At this time, the Mary continued to rise by the upwelling current. Nami's face was heavy. The boat may break away from the current and be thrown away. Hearing this, Zoro's expressions changed in shock. At such a height, if it falls, the ship will shatter. Whoa! In the next moment, an even worse scene happened, and many shipwrecks fell from the sky. Usopp's face changed greatly. It was a ship that fell and was damaged before. It was washed up by the current, and now it has fallen again. Chopper worried. Don't hit us, it's too dangerous. However, the wreckage is numerous and impossible to miss. Give it to me. Zoro stepped forward, and when he said this, everyone was relieved. What Zoro meant by this was that it was enough to leave him alone. One knife flow, 360 trouble wins. Zoro launched the slash wave, smashing all the large wooden boards that fell. Sanji said heavily. However, even if it is not hit, it will be thrown out, and it has gradually become less suitable for the upwelling current. Nami is thinking of a way. This is what she should do as a navigator, she has to think of a way and can't continue. Otherwise, the ship will definitely crash, and at such a height, there is no doubt of death. Nami immediately said. Immediately Yang Fan. This is the sea, not an ordinary water column, but a soaring ocean current. And the wind blowing from below is the updraft generated by the geothermal heat and the steam explosion. Since the object is the wind and the sea, there is a way to sail. Everyone believed that Nami was, after all, the navigator on this ship. Luffy praised. Nami, it's amazing, then let's do as Nami's arrangement. Nami makes arrangements based on wind, currents, etc. Now that the right chord is affected by the wind, immediately turn to the left rudder and try to make the hull match the current as much as possible. Okay, under Nami's arrangement, the Mary kept going up and did not fall out of the current. Nami pointed to the dark cloud not far above, expecting, through that cloud, it should be close to Sky Island. This has everyone looking forward to it, especially Robin. Whoosh! The Mary quickly passed through the clouds, and the next moment, it stopped ascending. Everyone on the boat had difficulty breathing. Luffy looked around, blankly white. Except for Robin, everyone else is fine, after all, they have practiced in the teaching space. Robin was sweaty and had difficulty breathing. It could be said to be altitude sickness. Nami looked around, puzzled and surprised. On the cloud, it didn't fall. Nami glanced at the recording pointer and said, "This is not Sky Island, the pointer is still pointing up, and it seems to be going up." Robin got used to it for a few minutes, and then he said, "It seems that this is just the middle of the Cumulus Emperor cloud." Chopper looked around, puzzled. "Then you have to go up, how do you go up?" Without the upwelling, others were indeed puzzled. Usopp wanted to jump in and swim and couldn't wait. This is Yunhai, I want to go down and try. Usopp is ready to jump, Chopper is envious, he is capable and can't swim. However, Luffy stopped Usopp. Don't mess around, in case it falls, although it is a sea of clouds, it is not bottomless. When you get to the bottom, you will fall. This made Usopp stunned for a moment, it is possible, and that would be miserable. Usopp was a little surprised. Luffy, I thought you wanted to be with me, but you are an ability, I didn't expect you to dissuade me. Originally thought that Luffy would not stop him, but envied him, but he didn't expect to stop him so rationally. Luffy smiled. I'm not stupid. At this moment, an old man in silver armor with a white beard flew fast on a bird. Nami reminds. Someone is coming. The old man landed on the boat and said gently, I have no hostility towards you. Let me introduce myself. I am the Sky Knight, Ganfer. Luffy and others didn't do it directly, and Luffy didn't. Ganfer was surprised. Apart from her, you won't feel that your body can't work hard. It's amazing. Usopp smiled. Because we all have special training, the environment is adapted. Ganfer asked, are you from Blue Ocean? Nami puzzled. Blue Sea people. The people from the Blue Sea are our common name for people under the cloud, so you are from the Blue Sea, right? Luffy nodded. Yes. Okay, let me introduce myself in detail. My profession is a mercenary. This is a sea of clouds that is full of dangers. Either the gorillas are eyeing it, or it is eaten by the powerful fish in this sea of clouds. So, as long as 5 million Ike, I can guarantee your safety. When Ganfer finished speaking, Luffy hadn't responded yet. Suddenly, the sea of clouds thumped continuously. Roar! Suddenly, the Mary was in all directions, and many huge fish creatures sprang from the sea of clouds. Rather, they are more like sea kings, some like Madara horses, some like giraffes, some like dinosaurs but with fish bodies or tails. Ganfer's face changed in shock. It was the first time he encountered so many sea of clouds creatures, and they all looked so powerful. Counted, there are 8 in total, spread in all directions, the shortest is 10 meters, and the tallest is 40 meters tall. Ganfer's face is heavy, and if it is himself, I am afraid he will. If there is no direct shot, on the one hand, it is very dangerous, and on the other hand, the other party does not agree. Hoo-hoo! 8 sea kings roared, their mouths open, ready to devour. Ganfer suggested, how about, do you need to hire me for protection? But the price has to be raised, and it needs to be raised too. However, in the next instant, Ganfer was stunned. Luffy's eyes were stern, the red light in his eyes flashed away, Conqueror's haki broke out, and haki stared at the surrounding sea kings. Roll! In an instant, the 8 huge sea kings stagnated in an instant, with cold sweat on their faces, trembling pupils, and trembling all over their bodies. After a few puffs, they all fled into the sea of clouds and disappeared. Luffy looked at the sluggish Ganfer and asked, you keep talking. Ganfer is very embarrassed, so strong, he doesn't need his protection at all. Ganfer shook his head again and again, no. I have nothing to say, you don't need my protection at all. Even Ganfer wanted to seek help from Luffy and others. At one point, Ganfer was puzzled, and he didn't even know what Ike was talking about. Ganfer asked, you didn't come from the air. That way, you should pass through 2 islands, so that you don't know what Ike I am talking about. It was Nami's turn to be puzzled. Listen to your tone, it seems that there are other ways to get to Sky Island. There will be 2 islands on the way. Is there more than one Sky Island on this? Are there other islands? Ganfer was shocked and understood. You don't know anything. It seems that it came up by that method, rising ocean currents. Nami nodded, yes. Ganfer became more and more shocked and admired. It turned out to be like this, and it was successful. It's a brave warrior, it's amazing. The last time it came up like this was 24 years ago. Ganfer got down on one knee directly, which surprised everyone. You are, Nami wondered. Ganfer turned serious and pleaded. I hope you can help me, I am willing to give 10 billion IK. As long as you are willing to help me solve that guy, and bring peace to Sky Island. Hearing 10 billion, Nami's eyes lit up. Although I don't know what Ike is, it can be imagined that it is the currency of Sky Island. Nami's eyes lit up. Although I don't know Ike very well, 10 billion sounds like a lot. Zoro is helpless, Nami is like this, reminding, don't rush to agree, first understand the situation. Nami also understands that if he helps him deal with good people, no amount of money can agree. When I was Alabasta, I knew that Crocodile guy was going to mess up a country. He just came here, so he had to understand. Luffy felt that it was natural to help, but he also had to act like he didn't understand. Ganfort sat down, his face heavy, and began to tell. What I want you to help me deal with is the current ruler of Sky Island. His character is cruel. He is in charge of Sky Island, which is disastrous for everyone on Sky Island. He was born in Burka, Sky Island. After destroying his hometown Burka, he defeated the original Sky Island god Gonfeuer, that is, me, and the guards of his gods. The guards ruled Sky Island for 6 years, claiming to be gods. Hearing this, everyone outside Luffy shook. God. Well, claiming to be a god, and I don't think it's an exaggeration, he has this strength, his ability, it's too terrifying, it's really as terrifying as a god. Speaking of this, Gonfeuer's eyes were full of fear and heaviness. He faced Enel, vulnerable, too powerful and terrifying. Gonfeuer said, I don't need you to agree immediately, I can understand, you need to understand, it is impossible to listen to my one-sided words and choose to help. Nami said solemnly, if what you said is true, then this god is indeed cruel and actually destroyed his hometown. However, we have to understand before deciding. Besides, since he claims to be a god, he is very powerful. Although I know that Luffy and the others are strong, and now they are all strong, but in the face of God's words, can they overcome? Nami felt that perhaps the enemy this time was not comparable to Crocodile. Chopper is also curious. How strong is he who claims to be a god? In the world below, no one dares to claim to be a god. Zoro said, it's either very powerful, or it's the arrogance of the frog in the well. Gonfeuer shook his head and said solemnly, it's not the arrogance of the frog in the well, it's really terrifying, he's an ability person, Logia, Thunder Fruit, who controls thunder and lightning, it's terrifying. This shocked Zoro, Sanji, Logia, and Raiden. It is conceivable that it is indeed not simple, the power of thunder and lightning is very powerful. This Thunder Fruit, placed in Logia, is probably among the best. Nami asked, so, how many Baileys are you talking about this 10 billion Ike? That is, the currency of our Blue Ocean people, is it equivalent to 10 billion Baileys? Thinking of this, Nami's eyes were filled with stars, and he was very excited. 10 billion Baileys, he couldn't even dream of it. 10 billion Baileys are definitely a dream for Nami, who is a financial fan. Gonfeuer shook his head. I have also learned about the currency of the Blue Ocean, but there are not that many. 10,000 Ike is equivalent to 1 Bailey. So 10 billion Ike is equivalent to 10 million Bailey. Nami just wilted and lost interest. Others were also startled. 10 billion IK, which sounds like a lot, but so little. Nami was speechless. It's only 10 million Bailey. We are dealing with a god who doesn't know how powerful it is. Forget it. Gonfeuer was startled. Is it too little? Of course less. Nami was helpless. Gonfeuer said sternly, I will do my best to prepare more money, even if it is to let everyone in Sky Island donate. If it is 1 billion Bailey, is it okay? Nami still felt a little bit less. When Crocodile, she wanted 1 billion, and now this god seems to be more powerful than Crocodile. But 1 billion is not much. Nami nodded. Okay, let's get together first, let's get to know this place first. Okay, then I'll be a tour guide for you for free, but it's a pity that my bird can't take all of you up, so you still have to pass through the gate of heaven. But it doesn't matter, I'll pay for you. After a pause, Gonfeuer tangled. That is, before that, can you let me test your strength? After all, God is too powerful, although you are powerful, but if you can really deal with it, I will seek help. No, I can't implicate you. Ganfort put on an attacking stance, obviously wanting to test his strength, and, wanting to test the strongest on the ship, his eyes locked on the captain, Luffy. Luffy nodded. Yes, you can attack. It is good. Gonfeuer went all out and rushed forward suddenly, extremely fast. The cone-shaped weapon in his hand rotates rapidly, and with the blessing of speed, this blow is very powerful. Watch out. Ganfort reminded him all his life, swept in an instant, and stabbed with all his strength. Meanwhile, unexpectedly, Luffy didn't dodge. It's not surprising that there is no dodging, maybe it is not necessary, but there is no meaning to fight back. There is no defense either. However, perhaps because he thought too much, he would definitely not be so weak, so he didn't have to worry about it. Just as the weapon was about to stab Luffy, Luffy moved, his right hand raised, but his middle finger was raised, covering the pitch-black armament hockey. With a ding, Ganfor's figure stopped abruptly, and the airwaves swept away, leaving Luffy motionless. From the waves of energy that swept out, we could know that Ganfor's strike was not weak. Ganfor was shocked, blocked, and still by a finger. There was no trace left on Luffy's finger, and he didn't even need to shake it. No matter how hard he tried, he couldn't shake Luffy's fingers. This made Ganfor realize that the gap was too great. The one who made him realize how big the gap was, the last one, was Enel. Ganfor is excited. Great, this kind of strength, maybe really can. And there are others, all looking great too, who could really save Sky Island. Ganfor couldn't wait. I'll take you up, but unfortunately I can only take 2 birds at most. Usopp was startled. Take 2. It's hard to take you alone, right? Ganfor explained. Although it is a bird, it eats the pony fruit and can become a Pegasus. The bird transformed itself in an instant, its claws elongated and turned into horseshoes, and its body also changed, but without wings, it soon turned into a Pegasus. But it's different from imagination, it's too ugly, it's still a bird's head. Luffy glanced above and said, then leave the boat here and go straight up. Go straight up. This made Ganfor stunned. How to get up? Fly up. But obviously, it can't fly. Ganfor asked, is there anyone who can fly? Luffy shook his head. No, but you can step on the air, which is moonwalk. Sanji breathed smoke. Yes. For moonwalk, Chopper, Sanji, Zoro, Nami will, Luffy will, but Usopp will not. Nami glanced at the sky. If it's not very high, it's okay, otherwise the strength and feet will not be able to support it. Although moonwalk can be used, there are limits, otherwise, there is no need to take a boat. However, it is obviously impossible for moonwalk to reach such a height. Even Garp with the strongest physical skills cannot use moonwalk to jump all the way to Sky Island at a height of 10,000 meters. Ganfor asked, are you sure you want to do that? This is Baihai, and Sky Island is located in Baihai. It is 7 kilometers away from the ground, and it takes 3 kilometers to reach Baihai. Luffy was interested, and it was a challenge. If you can't do it halfway, just rest in your day. Fine. Luffy asked Zoro to stay and watch the boat, and Zoro decided to rest. Luffy said, I won't make you wait too long. After we're sure, the words we have to deal with that god will end quickly. Zoro also believes in the strength of Luffy and others. If this god has no Hawkeye or Admiral's level, then it can be dealt with. Nami was also interested, looking up at the sky. Then look at the limit of my moonwalk, how much I can reach. It is also a challenge and tempering. Chopper, Sanji also want to try. Usopp said he would just sit on the horse. After Usopp went up, Luffy didn't let Robin go up in case someone needed a break in the middle, but it wasn't enough. Counting Ganfor, you can sit 3, but it can actually take 4 because the chopper is small. The next scene shocked everyone because Luffy walked up to Robin. Robin, let me hold you. Robin understands that Luffy not only uses moonwalk to climb to Baihai, but also hugs himself. Really? Robin was a little worried. Hee, it's all right. All right. Robin also knew that he really had to make room for Pegasus. The next moment, Luffy and the others couldn't wait. Sanji said, then I'll go up first. Bang. Sanji jumped up and stomped the air up and up. Moonwalk he was the best at. Nami, Chopper also keeps going up. Chopper transforms into human form, muscular and looks more powerful, after all, after the teaching of Garp and Kaido template. Physical skills, fruit development, must be beyond the peak of the original plot, unfathomable. Nami was also taught by the Garp template, and his physical skills are also very strong, stepping on the air constantly. Luffy grabbed Robin's slender waist and jumped up like a rocket. Looking at this scene, Ganfor was stunned and exclaimed, this ship is really a group of monsters. Ganfor hurriedly rode a Pegasus and flew to the sky with Usopp. Sanji was surprised. He was in the lead because he was climbing first, but soon, Luffy caught up. You know, Luffy is still holding Robin. After ascending 500 meters, Nami died first and landed on the back of Pegasus. Chopper is okay. After all, it's not a real human body, not inferior to Sanji. In this way, keep going up, continue after a break, and when Sanji and Chopper can't work, they will step on Tianma to help. Tianma also tried his best to bear it, so as not to be trampled and fall. Ganfer felt that perhaps the god of Sky Island was really going to be pulled down from the altar by these monsters. Soon, Luffy and others came to Beibai, 10,000 meters away from the ground. After coming up, Luffy and the others' eyes lit up. It was no longer a vast expanse of whiteness. There was an island in front of it. There were many town buildings on the island, some of which were shrouded in clouds and mist. The real city in the sky was very beautiful and spectacular. Luffy enjoys it very much. The most meaningful thing about exploring is this. There are magical places that I have never been to. Luffy and the others jumped onto the beach. Their eyes lit up, because the beach was soft and it was very comfortable to step on. Luffy, Usopp, and Chopper were playing down there, enjoying themselves. Sanji walked to the bow with his hands in his pockets and muttered, "3 idiots, they look like they don't know anything. I really can't do anything about them." When the words fell, Sanji took off his shoes and jumped into the sea of clouds, swimming and cheering. Nami was speechless. "You are not the same." Nami couldn't wait to jump off and ran to the beach. Looking at all this, Robin felt very good, and said to himself, "Is this an adventure? I have never thought about it before, this feeling is very good." Nami enjoys everything around, it feels like a vacation, it's still such a unique and beautiful place. Nami let herself relax and stretched her arms. The air here is so good, it's not thin, and Marine can't be here, stretch out his muscles and bones. After Nami's activities, he was lying on the gazebo chair and found that the soft evil was also working, and he couldn't help but admire. It seems that there is technology for processing clouds here. Just as Luffy and the others were playing, there was a strumming sound. Looking at the sound, a blonde girl was standing on the cloud and playing the harp. The girl's appearance is not bad, and the most striking thing is that there is a pair of white angel-like wings behind her. Sanji stared blankly. "Angel." The girl came down from the cloud and asked friendly, "Are you from Blue Ocean?" Luffy nodded. "Well, we came up from below, are you a resident here?" "Yes, my name is Canis, and welcome to Angel Beach in the Kingdom of God." Seeing Luffy holding a pumpkin-like, but blue, coconut-like fruit, Canis asked, "Do you want to drink?" Luffy nodded. "Well, shake it to tell it's full of juice, but it's too hard." Canis took it, slashed the top center with a knife, took out the habit, inserted it, and handed it to Luffy. "Here, so you can drink." Luffy couldn't wait, took a big gulp, and his eyes lit up. "Drink well, it's really sweet, it's much better than the coconut below." Luffy sucked and drank, he couldn't stop, and he enjoyed the happy expression, which made Nami and others want to drink too, and hurriedly picked such fruit from the coconut-like tree. Canis said, "This is called cloud coconut fruit. It is a very common fruit on Sky Island. It has no pulp and is full of juice. It is really delicious." Nami and the others all got one, opened it, and took the straw that Canis handed over. "When I took a sip, my eyes lit up, it was so good." Robin drank too, and felt so good. It was an adventure rather than a trip. After leaving Ohara, I had never felt better and more comfortable. Canis said kindly, "If you have any other questions, you can ask me." Nami nodded. "Then we're welcome. For the first time here, a lot is really incredible for us." Canis, "I told them about the evil deeds of God, and if they verify it is true, they will help us." Gonfure just flew up, because Tianma was too tired just now. Canis was worried when he heard it, and glanced at Luffy and the others. It was the first time he saw it, he didn't understand it yet, but he seemed too young to deal with God. Canis worries. Let them help us, hurt them or not. Thought they were here for adventure, travel, and they seemed to be nice, and she was welcoming, but to deal with the gods. She doesn't want to. Gonfure said, "Don't worry, they are very strong." Luffy nodded. "Well, don't worry too much, that god is really cruel, it's a disaster for the entire Sky Island, I'll beat him up." Canis was still a little worried, even though he said that, he had never seen the power of God. God is so terrifying, really like a god, you. Canis still wanted to persuade. Sanji said, Such a kind and beautiful Miss Canis, we have to find out more. If it is really cruel, you can't let such a cruel god rule you. I am not willing. Sanji wants to stay on Sky Island more and more to find out what's going on here. Luffy said. We won't go, not in a short time. Robin still has important things to do. Robin nodded. That's it. Okay. I hope you understand God's strength first, and then decide whether to deal with him or not. You must be cautious. Canis kept reminding. Luffy nodded. I see. At this time, Naval Headquarters. Garp and Sengoku in the office. A sailor came in to report. We are paying close attention to the whereabouts of Straw Hat crew. We have already gone to Sky Island to ride the upwelling current. Sengoku frowned slightly. It turned out to be successful. Riding the upwelling current, it was the first one since Roger. This made Garp relieved, because he knew that Aokiji had also reached the waters below Sky Island. Sengoku dials the phone bug and contacts Aokiji. After connecting, Sengoku asked, Kuzan, where are you? To the upwelling current. Sengoku sighed. It seems that we can only continue to wait. After they come down, let's do it. Aokiji shook his head. Perhaps, now. Seeing that it is about to disappear, connecting heaven and earth, the rising ocean current like a water column, Aokiji activates the ability of frozen fruit, and the cold air permeates. Ka ka ka. In an instant, the upwelling current froze and kept going upwards. In an instant, the 7,000-meter-high upwelling current froze and became an icicle connecting the heavens and the earth. This made Sengoku's eyes light up, and he guessed what happened, and he was glad that he chose Aokiji. Aokiji said, Then, I'm going up. Sengoku was about to hang up, and said in a condensed voice, It's over to you, Kuzan, take down the Straw Hat crew. Usopp looked at the sea of clouds ahead and found that someone seemed to be coming. Canis said, That was my father. Nami was surprised that he was driving something similar to a motorcycle and a boat at sea. What is your father sitting on? Canis introduced. Everything here is new to you. It's called Vibra, which is equivalent to a means of transportation in Sky Island. Chopper, Usopp has bright eyes, looks cool and fast. Canis's father got to know each other when he came ashore. His eyes lit up, and he wanted to deal with Enel. My name is Paige. If you can really do it, then you will be the savior of Sky Island. Usopp couldn't wait. Well, can we get a feel for the Vikings? Sure. Immediately, Usopp drove the Waiba at a fast speed in the sea of clouds, and it felt beautiful. Luffy felt that it was like driving a motor yacht at sea. They also drove the chopper for a while at a time and had a great time. Afterwards, Paige took Luffy and others around Angel Island and explained. Luffy and others followed behind. Paigeia was equivalent to a tour guide, and they were equivalent to tourists. Sailing, adventure, not just fighting and killing, such time is also a must for beauty, fun and not boring. Going up the stairs, Paige introduced. There are a lot of people collecting clouds there. It is a place to mine and process clouds, so as to make materials needed for various buildings, furniture, etc. There are two types of clouds here, sea clouds, which are like sea clouds. Clouds, island clouds, the ones they are responsible for mining, can be processed. Usopp, they think that the artifact in cloud can still be processed. Isn't it soft? Will it be real? Paigeia introduced. You must be very puzzled. Why does the sea cloud look like seawater, and the island cloud can even be submerged when you step on it? Yeah, why is that? Because the condensation nuclei produced by clouds are different. I remember that there is a mineral called seastone in your blue ocean, which contains a kind of horny particles. When the horny particles are sent to the sky by the volcanic eruption, the concentration changes with the condensation of water vapor, forming sea clouds and island clouds. This made Luffy and others understand the reasons for the formation of two special cloud layers in Sky Island, which turned out to be the case. At this time, Ganfer said solemnly, If you want to deal with Enel in the future, you need seastone, otherwise, you will not be able to defeat him. Luffy, Sanji, they all laughed. Luffy said, It's not just seastone, armament hockey can hurt Logia. Armament hockey. Hearing this unfamiliar vocabulary, Ganfer did not understand. That's it. Luffy's fist became pitch black, which made Ganfer shocked. The previous finger blocked his attack, and it also became pitch black. Is this armament hockey? By explaining, Ganfor understood, excited, too strong. Can defend, boost attack, and deal substantial damage to Logia. Ganfor was surprised that they didn't know about Sky Island, Luffy, and they didn't know about Blue Ocean. Page took Luffy and the others home and started to prepare sumptuous food. Luffy and the others were also hungry, so they ate first and then traveled around Sky Island. At this time, the Island of God, where Enel lives. The 4 priests came here. They were the Knights of Heaven and Shira. Empty Shepherd, Om, Air Guard Chief, Nirvana. Mori's Great Enlightenment. The 4 priests discussed while walking. I don't know what Master Enel suddenly asked the 4 of us to do together. Sky Island is ruled by us, nothing is right. Perhaps, there are foreigners. That's the only possibility. Gather the 4 of us. It seems that the other party will not be too weak. I hope we won't be disappointed. We haven't moved hands and feet for a long time. It could also be a remnant of the Sandians, delusional about revenge. That's boring. As the 4 priests, they are very proud. The door engraved with the word God opened, and the 4 priests entered, putting away the arrogance on their faces. The 4 priests directly faced Enel, sat down cross-legged, and looked in awe. Enel lay sideways on the sofa, arrogant. Enel frowned slightly, dissatisfied. Ganfor is still alive. How come? I didn't die at the beginning. Enel doesn't care. It doesn't matter if he is dead or not. He seems to have a good relationship with the Qinghai people who just came up. He even thought about asking them to help and solve me. This made the 4 priests smile. I looked down on Lord Enel. Do you want those Qinghai people to die? Is it coming now? They can't wait to fight, and they know that Enel must know it. After all, Xinhuang combined with Thunderfruit's ability can hear the voices of the entire Sky Island. Enel shook his head. They have to understand first, but, if you take action, deal with them. You don't need to wait until they become enemies with me. As long as they have the possibility of becoming enemies with me, deal with them. The 4 priests were surprised. Do you want us to do it together? Well, solve it as soon as possible. You don't have to wait for them to enter your trial one by one. Understood, Lord Enel. I don't want them to live longer. Enel lay lazily on his side, resting his chin in his hand, closed his eyes, and waved. Okay, let's solve it as soon as possible. Yes. The next moment, the 4 priests left. At this time, Luffy and others, led by Ganfor, came to the upper ruins. Nami and the others' eyes widened with shock, and they were attracted by a huge vine that spread toward the higher sky. It was too huge. Just when Luffy and the others were about to explore, the 4 priests came. You are from Qinghai. Ganfor, you're really still alive. It's okay, it's fine to deal with you this time. 7 people in total. No, 6, and the reindeer doesn't count. This made Chopper angry. I'm human too. Oh, it's strange to be able to speak. Don't worry about it, they'll all be dead soon. They don't look great either, they're all very young. The 4 priests felt that there were too many people coming, and it was enough for 1 priest to come. Ganfor raised his eyebrows and reminded. They are the 4 priests under Enel, and they are very powerful. It seems that Enel already knows about us and sent them to solve us. Sanji said. If that's the case, then you don't need to know about it anymore, it's already an enemy. Usopp was curious and a little uneasy. God official, also carry the word, God. Although it is a God official, it will be very powerful, right? Others are also curious about the strength of these 4. As a priest, it shouldn't be too bad. But, Luffy was clear, completely uninterested. The 4 priests laughed when they looked at Sanji and the others who were guessing. It seems that we can probably know that we are very good. After all, we are priests, second only to the existence of God. Then, let them see our strength. Are we going together? The 4 priests were arrogant and looked at each other. Let's go together. Stop kidding, they don't look good, they're too young. Yeah, we are priests. To deal with them, do we still need to go together? *##**###. I deal with Ganfor. How you 3 deal with them, you discuss. I'll deal with Ganfor. His strength is barely okay, and he can let me play. The words of the 4 priests made Ganfor's face look ugly, too contemptuous, and too shameful. However, he couldn't say anything, because he knew that the 4 priests were really powerful. Ganfor put on a fighting stance and said condensedly, don't underestimate me too much. Ganford was ready to fight. Luffy said, "If we want to help you, you don't need to take action, just leave it to us." Ganford was stunned, understood, thinking of Luffy's strength, he calmly stood in place, and did not plan to do anything. "Okay, then I won't do it." Ganford's attitude surprised the four priests. "Not going to fight? Looks like it's going to be handed over to them." "Forget it, I won't deal with this Ganford, it seems that he has no fighting spirit." "So, what to do? Who's on? Quickly deal with these 5 people and this reindeer." Chopper got angry. "I'm human too. Don't count me out every time." However, being ignored by the 4 priests, they continued to discuss. Point 0. Shira, come on, get rid of these guys quickly. "I can't get on. I'm Shira, one of the priests. Dealing with these weak-looking Qinghai people will humiliate my identity." "The weakest Dao, come on. I'm the weakest. Nirvana, if you don't accept Bibi, whoever loses will win." For a time, none of the 4 priests were on board, let alone joining forces. "It was you who pushed me to let them go," and they looked arrogant, as if they had done something to Luffy and the others and humiliated their identities. This made Nami and the others speechless and looked at Luffy. "Luffy, what do you say?" Luffy shrugged helplessly, looked at the 4 priests who were arguing, and said, "I just quietly watched these 4 idiots pretending to be there." Hearing Luffy's words, the 4 priests in the quarrel stopped, all with low faces, frowning and looking at Luffy. They all heard what Luffy said just now, silently watching the 4 idiots pretending there. This directly made the 4 priests furious. "Looking for death. How dare you say such a thing? This is a provocation to our priest. We only choose one to solve you, you should be lucky. Don't think too highly of yourself. To deal with you, do you still want us 4 priests to join forces? It's not that we are stupid, it's you who are stupid." However, before the 4 gods could finish speaking, they stopped abruptly. Chopper suddenly became huge and turned into a human beast form. Shave. While moving fast, he swept to the far right of the 4 priests standing in a row. Chopper swept in, the deer paws were pitch black, covered with superb armament hockey, and slammed hard on the face of the priest Shira on the far right. Boom, boom. With a slap, Shira felt uneasy in his heart, and it was too late to dodge and counterattack, so he could only raise his hand to block. However, the severe pain struck, the sound of clicking sounded, and the arm was directly broken. Then a violent force hit his face, causing his face to sag deeply, his head seemed to be about to explode, and his mind went blank in an instant, buzzing. The other 3 priests didn't have time to dodge, because Shira was slapped by Chopper, and the other 3 were blown away together. "What?" In the 4 shrill screams, the 4 priests all flew out to one side, and flew out 100 meters, smashing through many stone walls along the way, and the roar continued. Chopper relieved a little and said solemnly, "Is the priest so unbearable?" The 4 priests fell on the ground 100 meters away. Shira died immediately, and his head bleeds. Although the other 3 were not dead, they were all seriously injured and could not even stand up. They were extremely shocked. Unbelievable, how could it be? Originally thought it was just a pet, but it is so powerful. With a slap, they were seriously injured, and even Shira died. The strength was terrifying. Looking at the reindeer at this time, they were horrified. It was not a reindeer at all, not like the cute pet just now, but a monster that made them tremble. Why is it so strong? It seemed that humans and animals were harmless and easy to deal with just now. Demon fruit power, but, is also too strong. Shira died, we were all badly injured, and he was just a slap in the face. We are priests, second only to Lord Enel, but we are so vulnerable against him, how can we be so strong? Could it be that the weakest we think is actually the strongest among these Qinghai people? It must be this possibility, we made the strongest one angry. They feel that it can only be like this guy must be the strongest in this group, not the weakest. Chopper changed back to his original form, shook his head and said, "I'm not the strongest, I'm just a ship doctor, not the main force on the ship." These words directly made the 3 gods, 560s, stunned, their eyes widened, and they couldn't believe it. Just a ship doctor, not a main force. What are you kidding? Isn't the main force so strong? How is it possible? They couldn't believe it until they were shocked. If the main force is not so strong, how strong is the main force? How strong is the captain? They were frightened, afraid, and remembering their actions just now, in the eyes of the other party, it was really stupid and ridiculous. Sizzle. Suddenly, the sound of electricity sounded. With a bang, the thunder and lightning descended, and after dispersing, a figure appeared in front of Luffy and the others. Appears to be around 37 years old, wearing a white turban, long earlobes with earrings. Bare upper body, with a black three-tomo engraved thunder drum on the back, a gold ring on his hand, and a gold stick in his hand. The lower body is wearing bloomers and bare feet, looking arrogant and uninhibited. This man, apparently, is Enel. The eyes of the three priests lit up, they were relieved, and they were saved. Lord Enel, they are not afraid anymore, even if these Qinghai people are powerful, they cannot be Enel's opponents, they are gods. Enel turned his back to them, his right hand raised, the electricity raging in the palm of his hand. The three priests expected that Enel was going to deal with these Qinghai people, using the terrifying power of lightning. Click. The thunder and lightning in his hand rushed to the sky, and with Enel's wave, he shouted in a low voice, God's punishment. Under the horrified gazes of Ganfer, Nami, Robin, Chopper, and Usopp, a huge thunder column descended from the sky and fell instantly. However, the target was not them, but the Enel rear. Boom. Ah, Lord Enel, why? The three priests that Lezu hid were screaming and screaming. Chopper is horrified. What a horrible ability. Nami shook. Is this thunder fruit? Although you can control the weather yourself, it is far from thunder fruit. Robin frowned. Kill his men. Enel Gia smiled and said, I am compassionate. This puzzled Robin and others. They didn't expect to say this. Is this still compassion? Enel said, isn't that mercy, that I extend the hand of redemption to those wretched ants who are struggling, and liberate them? This is also the mission of being a god. This made Nami and the others' faces sank, and they didn't need to continue to understand. This Enel is indeed disgusting and cruel, and now it is an enemy that must be dealt with. Enel was slightly interested. You guys look good, surprise me, this is even better, the banquet doesn't need sideshows, let's start directly, feel the despair. Enel was crackling with electricity all over his body, ready to do some activity, and he was very interested now. Enel threw a cloud shell, and a circle of white clouds filled the shell. Enel sat on it leisurely, cross-legged, and looked down at Luffy and the others. The game is ready to start, would you like to play? Enel asked. Nami puzzled. Game, yeah, everyone here is a participant, a total of 8 people. 8 people, naturally Enel, Luffy, Sanji, Usopp, Nami, Robin, Chopper, Ganfer. Enel introduced. In 5 minutes, a few people will disappear here. I think, 7 people, how about you? Enel's words made Nami and the others understand that they meant to defeat everyone except themselves. Luffy said, you think 7, then I think 1. Enel frowned slightly and glanced at the others. What about you? Nami and the others all looked at Luffy and agreed, we have the same idea. This made Enel's face sank and smiled. Well, after 5 minutes, 1 person disappears here, no matter who it is, you will win. After 5 minutes, 7 people disappear here, and I will win. However, I just curious, which one do you want to disappear? Enel looked at Luffy, eyes narrowed. Luffy said bluntly, you. Hearing this, Enel laughed angrily. Yeah ha ha ha, yeah ha ha ha. After laughing, Enel's hand holding the golden rod raged, and his voice was low. It seems that you haven't realized who you are talking to. I am God, facing God, actually said such a thing. Luffy said indifferently. Self-proclaimed God, forget it. This made Enel's face darker and anger rose in his heart, and he dared to speak to himself like this. If you say you want to disappear, then I will help you, but to make you realize that it is not me who disappeared, it would be too embarrassing. Whoosh. Enel's words fell, and in the next instant, he disappeared in place, turned into a ball of electric current, and swept in front of Ganfer. At the moment when it emerged, the electric condensed hand patted Ganfer. Just let you disappear first. Discharge, 20 million. Gon Fulton felt uneasy, too fast, too late to dodge. There was no time to fight back, and at this moment, he seemed very powerless, and he could only wait for the terrifying thunder and lightning to scorch him to the ground. Second gear, rubber jet rocket launcher. Luffy instantly entered the second gear, and the whole body turned red and steamed. Suddenly, when Enel was about to attack Ganfor, Luffy swooped in, clenched his fists, covered the pitch-black armament hockey, and blasted out. Enel was shocked. What a fast speed. This speed is so fast that it even makes it difficult for me to dodge, but I am not worried, I am Logia, and now my whole body is elementalized by lightning, I cannot hurt myself. Boom. What? However, Enel suddenly felt incomparable pain on the left side of his body, and a terrifying force slammed on the left side of his body, and flew out in a U shape. Whoosh. Boom boom boom. The roar continued, and many dilapidated stone walls were blasted through. Ganfor shook, and at the same time heaved a sigh of relief, and was saved. Enel kept flying 500 meters away before stopping and was buried under the rubble. In the ruins, Enel bleeds from the corners of his mouth, clutching his aching body with his right hand, shaking inexplicably. Why does it hurt me? Obviously there is no sea stone in hand. Enel couldn't understand, but soon realized that the hands of the Straw Hat just now were black. What is that? Enel doesn't understand. If you don't understand, don't think too much. Enel's face is a little heavier, which means that the other party can actually hurt him, and elementalization is useless. After a short period of heaviness, Enel's face was gloomy. So what? Let's use absolute strength and divine power to solve them. Crackling. The terrifying thunder and lightning raged and exploded, shaking the ruins and stones in all directions, and Enel stood up. Enel's face was ugly, making himself unable to do what he said as a god. Thinking of making Ganfor disappear, this will make the Straw Hat look ugly. After all, the Straw Hat said that if one person disappears, that person is himself. Then, to make Ganfor disappear is to hit the Straw Hat in the face, but now, he has not succeeded. Looking at Enel with an ugly face in the distance, Luffy sarcastically said, "Is this God?" He didn't do what he said, and he was self-proclaimed. This made Enel break the defense. His face was extremely gloomy, he gritted his teeth, and raised his right hand suddenly, the electric current raged, and he slammed it down. I am God. God's judgment. Suddenly, above Luffy's head, a huge thunder column fell from the sky. Ganfor was worried and prepared to leave quickly, the power of God's sanctions was too terrifying. Ganfor reminded, although you are very strong, it is better to choose to avoid the punishment of this God. Enel looked at and sneered, experience the punishment of God, and then think about whether I am a god. Looking at Luffy, Enel felt that God's punishment was enough to hurt the Straw Hat. If you want to hide, it means you are afraid. However, Luffy didn't dodge and said something that surprised Ganfor. You don't need to hide, neither you nor me, just stand here. Ganfor was stunned, and let himself stand. He and Luffy are so close, so this huge thunder pillar of God's punishment will also cover him, but Luffy said that he should not move. Enel heard it, although the distance was far, but after all, Xinhuang could hear the conversation of the entire Sky Island. Enel smiled. Yeah, ha ha ha. I didn't let him escape. Did you feel that it was too shameful to disappear alone? So, choosing two people to disappear, yeah, ha ha ha. I can understand. After all, let one person disappear. If he disappeared, he said it. If the person who started to disappear was himself, it would be even more embarrassing. Yeah, ha ha ha, why didn't I think of it? If I thought of it, I would have dealt with him first. Looking at Luffy, who was ready to fight back without dodging, Enel sneered, Straw Hat, you still don't understand God after all. God's punishment fell from the sky. Luffy did not dodge. Ganfor subconsciously believed in Luffy, and did not stay away. Whoosh. Suddenly, Luffy rose into the sky, his skin was dark red, and his righteousness was permeating. His right hand was elongated downward, straight, covering the pitch-black armament hockey, and the long black arm and fist suddenly burst into surging flames. Immediately, the sky and the earth were occupied by the light of thunder and flames, depending on who dissipated and occupied the entire sky. Luffy growled, Fire Fist. Gun. The surging flames surged up and collided with the thunder column. Ganfor was stunned, and the flames were no less powerful than the flames of Leju. Moreover, the fist attack combined with the flame, the power seems to be stronger by the sanction of God. Ganfor was shocked. Although he did not understand Luffy's strength, he knew that it was rubber fruit. But why the flames? In the previous battle, one finger made him realize the gap, unable to see the true strength of Luffy, the captain of the Straw Hat Pirates. So this first move surprised him. Enel in the distance was also startled and couldn't understand. The arm is like rubber, but why is there a flame that can be injured? Enel feels that he can't see through this straw hat boy anymore. What kind of existence is he? What kind of ability is he? HMPH, your hand is electro-scorched. Enel felt that since it was still a physical attack, it would definitely touch the lightning. The surging flame collided with the thunder column, and burst open in the sky. Crackling, the thunder and lightning shattered, and Enel found that the sky was lit up with fiery red, and his own thunder column was defeated. As the god of thunder, Raiden was defeated by the flame of the straw hat. Gonfuer worship is too strong, no wonder he does not let himself leave. He is absolutely confident that he can deal with the punishment of this god. Luffy withdrew his hand, and the flame in his hand dissipated. Looking at Luffy's hand, there was not a single scorch mark. Enel swept to him, as a god, because of the appearance of this straw hat, he had been puzzled too many times. Enel asked in a deep voice, "What kind of fruit power are you?" Luffy said, "Rubber fruit. Rubber fruit, rubber that can isolate electricity." Enel frowned and understood. It's no wonder that your hands are not scorched by electricity. After confirming that it was rubber fruit, Enel also understood. It seems that your punch can hit such a powerful flame, and even defeat my god's punishment, not because of other abilities but only the flame generated by friction. Defeat my thunder and lightning. It's not the power of flames, but the attack power of your physical skills. Enel thought so. After all, he was bombarded by Luffy before, and saw Luffy's speed and strength. And this move was more powerful than the rocket launcher just now, so Enel felt that it was not the power of flames that crashed the lightning, but the power. Enel is proud. I am the god of thunder. How can the thunder and lightning that thunder god dropped be defeated by ordinary flames? It is still power. You are powerful, beyond my expectations, and you are still rubber, an insulator. But don't think that rubber can insulate anything. Lightning of intensity, lightning of terror, even rubber, will turn to ashes. Luffy will not despise Enel. After all, he can defeat in the plot, and the protagonist's halo accounts for most of it, and he has to rely on absolute strength to defeat. Listening to Enel, Luffy didn't explain much, just let him think. Enel felt a little more balanced. For himself, it would be too embarrassing if the thunderbolt was defeated by the fire generated by the frictional air shot by the rubber fruit. Luffy reminded, "It's been a minute, 4 minutes, and you haven't made a person disappear." This made Enel's face sank and sneered. It seems that you have to understand God more clearly. Enel's golden stick slapped the big drum on his right shoulder. Under Nami's surprised gaze, the blue electric current raged and condensed into a huge thunderbird. 30 million volts, Thunderbird. Suddenly, the phoenix-like Thunderbird rushed towards Luffy. However, Luffy blew into his right hand, suddenly huge, turned pitch black, and blasted out quickly. Third gear, giant pistol. Boom. Thunderbird suddenly seemed a little small, and was blasted away directly. Enel vibrated and slammed towards himself, blocking with my gold stick with both hands, and at the same time raging terrifying thunder and lightning. Boom. However, when the giant fist slammed, the golden rod bent instantly, slammed into his body, and used elementalization to escape, but the huge black giant fist also slammed into his body. Elementalization was useless again. Enel was in severe pain, vomited blood and was blasted away. Boom. Enel flew farther and was shocked. Although the speed was slower, it was stronger. The Thunderbirds were not able to counteract too much power. Why is it so strong? Even they are still not injured. Although it is rubber, it cannot be completely isolated. It was 30 million volts just now. Enel didn't understand, but didn't know, Luffy's current strength, and armament hockey's defense level. Luffy swishes over Enel, scornfully, "Don't you want me to see the real Kamui, that's all." Luffy's huge right hand stretched out to the sky and twisted like a twist, and then the jet-black giant fist spun rapidly in the arm rotation and smashed down. Rubber giant swing bullet. Enel's pupils shrank, not daring to be careless, and slapped the drums on both sides of his shoulders. 60 million volts. Thunder Dragon. With a sound of dragon rumbling, a azure blue thunder dragon roared out. Boom. In the roar, it was hit by the black whirling giant fist, and the thunder dragon was no longer a majestic dragon roar, but a shrill scream. Boom. In the roar of terror, the ground sags, cracks, and rubble flies. When Luffy landed, his right hand retracted to its original size. The dust filled the front, and Enel walked out of it, a little embarrassed. Instead of continuing the attack, Enel was interested and issued an invitation. Your strength is very good, I like God, you are qualified to go to that place with me. Also, since they are your companions, they should not be much weaker than you, and they may also be qualified. Enel's words made Nami and others puzzled. Go to that place. What does it mean? Enel restrained his fighting spirit and looked at the sky with longing. Let me tell you. Enel's expression became unusually longing and excited. This made Nami and others even more surprised, and made Enel, who was so unrestrained and self-proclaimed God, yearn so much. What is the place? Enel spreads his arms. Want me to take you to the dream world where I am about to depart. Infinite land. Enel was extremely excited and couldn't wait. Enel aspires. I want to build a real kingdom of gods there, and the only people who can live in that land are those who are chosen by me here. My subordinates can easily be solved by you. It seems that they are not qualified, so I let them free. If they go, it will lower the level of my kingdom of God. You can go. Enel looked at Luffy and asked, how's it going? Follow me later. God, Thor, to be exact. Luffy is not interested. We are not interested in that place. I am interested in only one place, that is Raftel. And you always say that you are a god or Thor. Forget it. Your dead subordinates are gone. Lower your god the level of the kingdom of God. We went, and I feel that you are not worthy of your kingdom of God. Suddenly, Enel was furious like never before. After all, mocking himself makes him extremely angry, and now he has brought the kingdom of gods that he most yearns for. Bold. Enel was furious, and the veins on his brows were bursting, and he had never been more angry than he is now. Enel is arrogant and contemptuous. I'm not worthy. I'm a god, Thor. What about you? What kind of god are you? Enel is angry. He should be honored to be chosen by him. He is a god. However, being rejected, he also mocked himself. He is the god of thunder. What about him? Luffy shook his head. I'm not a god, I'm Monkey D. Luffy, if you want to be anything, it's not a god, but One Piece. One Piece. Yeah, ha 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 ha. Enel laughed, thinking it was funny. What One Piece? Is it better than God? Submit to me and make you a priest. Luffy shook his head decisively, not interested. Luffy looked at the time. 3 minutes had passed. I said, within 5 minutes, let you disappear here. These words made Enel's face look ugly, and he still had to fight with himself. Enel sneered. It really disappoints me. Then, just disappear. The element of Enel appeared behind Luffy, his right finger stretched out, and electricity shot out. Although it was just a wire, the voltage was so terrifying that Enel felt that even rubber could pierce Luffy's head. Die. Discharge. 100 million volts. Laugh. The current flashed out instantly. Looking at Luffy, who still had his back turned to him, Enel smiled. Rejecting me is really the stupidest decision you made. However, when the 100 million volts was about to hit the back of Luffy's head turned slightly to the right. 100 million electric currents swept from Luffy to the left, swept forward, and the bombing erupted. The air waves swept in. Luffy's clothes rattled backwards. He took a look at Enel, and said in a stern voice, it's so slow. This made Enel extremely vibrate. So slow. It's a shame, but Luffy dodged with precision. He would also be mad at him, but even if he did, how could he have escaped so easily? Enel couldn't believe it. His face was ugly, and in 5 minutes, he had to make everyone but himself disappear before he was successful. You also have to win. As a god, if you lose a game with these people, it would be too embarrassing. No, it would be embarrassing. How can gods play games with humans? But now Enel feels that Luffy is tricky to be so strong. Speed, strength, and reaction are all top-notch, and they can also cause substantial damage to themselves. How can your hard network be so strong? You have escaped. Pipe. Enel's face is ugly, so it is difficult to succeed. Luffy said. Xinhuang, I'm more used to calling it observation hockey. Observation hockey. This unfamiliar word made Enel startled. Looking at Enel, who was a little confused, Luffy suggested, don't go to the Infinite Land, go down first, go to Qinghai to see, and gain more knowledge. This remark made Enel extremely angry again. and his body trembled, which meant that he didn't know anything. What Qinghai, God I disdain to go to, in the sky, I am God, Thor, how can I go to Qinghai below? I want to go to a higher infinite land. Enel is arrogant, although he doesn't know observation hockey, armament hockey, but he doesn't want to know either. From Luffy's point of view, if Enel goes on, grinds for another 2 years, masters hockey, and adds thunder fruit, then it will definitely be Admiral's strength. Luffy didn't care. Forget it, you don't have a chance to go down. This made Enel's face sank, always speaking to himself in such a tone. However, he has not been able to hurt Luffy until now, instead he has been injured one after another, which is detrimental to the majesty of God. Nami and the others watched from a distance, indifferently, and felt that there was no need to make a move. Ganfor was shocked. Although he knew that Luffy would be very powerful, he also imagined that Enel was defeated and Sky Island was restored to its former peace and beauty. However, the fantasy is that Enel is defeated by the Straw Hats, not by one person. But now, when Enel faced Luffy, he was beaten up one after another, and Luffy was now unscathed, which was beyond his imagination. Ganfor marveled inwardly. This little brother is much stronger than I imagined, and he doesn't even take the self-proclaimed god Enel in his eyes at all. Listening to Luffy's words, seeing the arrogant Enel's face as extremely ugly many times, Ganfor is cool. Originally I was a little worried that it would be dangerous to anger Enel, but if Enel didn't do his best, then Luffy did his best. Looking at Luffy's confident gesture, Ganfor was sure that he didn't have all his strength. Ganfor looked forward to, then, let me see your true strength, how strong you are. Ganfor thinks that he can see that next time. Enel, who can't go all out, can't force Luffy to go all out, right? Being despised, and being spoken to as a god in such a tone by Qinghai people, Enel burst into anger and quickly beat all the big drums behind him, which made Luffy look forward to it a little. After all, in the original plot, they didn't hit all at once, but hit 2 of the left and right shoulders at most, using 60 million volts of Tretron. Luffy would love to experience an interesting fight, under pressure, and allow himself to fight as much as he can, so his blood boils, so I hope Enel can surprise him. Luffy said, the so-called god, don't let me down again. No way. Enel's voice was low, beating fast, and the drums thumped. The 4 drums behind him burst out with lightning at the same time, and in an instant, 4 groups of electric current burst out. At the same time, Enel activates the Thunder Fruit ability, and his whole body is blue. Accompanied by the sound of wolf, dragon roar, tiger roar, and cry, 4 thunder beasts appeared. Thunderbird, Thunder Wolf, Thunder Tiger, Thunder Dragon, lifelike, more real than before, and look more ferocious. Enel drank lowly. 100 million volts, 4 thunder beasts. Immediately, the 4 thunder beasts roared out with terrifying power. Ganfor in the distance could not help trembling, not to mention 4, even if one attacked him, he would be killed, and he could feel the power of thunder and lightning from a distance. Enel is going to make a quick fight, looks at Luffy, and thinks he can always beat him, right? After all, this was the strongest move except Lei Ying, which was made in combination with Arc, and his own strongest move, Thor. Luffy blows with his hands, bulging, swinging back, lengthening behind him. Luffy's black arm, huge fist, like a bear's paw. After stretching back and suddenly slamming forward, Luffy growled. Guo mo guo moruo, grizzly gun. Boom, huge black fists blasted out, gathered together, and slammed into the 4 thunder beasts. The roar broke out, stalemate, and the 4 thunder beasts kept roaring. Accompanied by Luffy's low growl, his arms slammed forward, and with a puff, the 4 thunder beasts collapsed. This made Enel's face change greatly, and he quickly became elemental, and it was too late for him to dodge. The golden stick blocked, but the next moment King Lee's the huge black fist slammed into it, and with a click, the golden stick shattered directly. Puff! Enel was directly blown away and came into contact with the huge black fists. It could be clearly seen that Enel's face and whole body were flattened, he vomited blood, and screamed in pain. What? Whoosh! Enel was blasted out, as fast as a cannonball, smashing through many buildings along the way. Whoosh! Continuously flying upside down, more than 10 thick walls were smashed through, but Enel still showed no sign of stopping, and was still flying upside down. Enel's body was in severe pain, and his mind was buzzing, as if being hit by a sledgehammer. The pain was extremely painful. Boom boom boom. The roar continued, and Enel flew upside down until he disappeared from sight and flew out of the upper ruins. In place, only Luffy and the other 7 were left. Luffy said that one disappeared. It was Enel, and now in less than 5 minutes, one has indeed disappeared, and Enel has disappeared here. Gonfeuer was stunned. It's amazing. Enel is angry. He should be honored to be chosen by him, he is a god. However, being rejected, he also mocked himself. He is the god of thunder, what about him? Luffy shook his head. I'm not a god, I'm Monkey D. Luffy, if you want to be anything, it's not a god, but One Piece. One Piece. Yeah ha 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 ha. Enel laughed, thinking it was funny. What One Piece, is it better than God? Submit to me and make you a priest. Luffy shook his head decisively, not interested. Luffy looked at the time, 3 minutes had passed. I said, within 5 minutes, let you disappear here. These words made Enel's face look ugly, and he still had to fight with himself. Enel sneered. It really disappoints me, then, just disappear. The element of Enel appeared behind Luffy, his right finger stretched out, and electricity shot out. Although it was just a wire, the voltage was so terrifying that Enel felt that even rubber could pierce Luffy's head. Die. Discharge, 100 million volts. Laugh. The current flashed out instantly. Looking at Luffy, who still had his back turned to him, Enel smiled. Rejecting me is really the stupidest decision you made. However, when the 100 million volts was about to hit the back of Luffy's head turned slightly to the right. 100 million electric currents swept from Luffy to the left, swept forward, and the bombing erupted. The air waves swept in, Luffy's clothes rattled backwards. He took a look at Enel, and said in a stern voice, "It's so slow." This made Enel extremely vibrate. So slow. It's a shame, but Luffy dodged with precision. He would also be mad at him, but even if he did, how could he have escaped so easily? Enel couldn't believe it. His face was ugly, and in 5 minutes, he had to make everyone but himself disappear before he was successful. You also have to win. As a god, if you lose a game with these people, it would be too embarrassing. No, it would be embarrassing. How can gods play games with humans? But now Enel feels that Luffy is tricky to be so strong. Speed, strength, and reaction are all top-notch, and they can also cause substantial damage to themselves. How can your hard network be so strong? You have escaped. Enel's face is ugly, so it is difficult to succeed. Luffy said, Xinwang, I'm more used to calling it observation hockey. Observation hockey. This unfamiliar word made Enel startled. Looking at Enel, who was a little confused, Luffy suggested, don't go to the Infinite Land, go down first, go to Qinghai to see, and gain more knowledge. This remark made Enel extremely angry again, and his body trembled, which meant that he didn't know anything. What Qinghai? God, I disdain to go to. In the sky, I am God, Thor, how can I go to Qinghai below? I want to go to a higher infinite land. Enel is arrogant, although he doesn't know observation hockey, armament hockey, but he doesn't want to know either. From Luffy's point of view, if Enel goes on, grinds for another 2 years, masters hockey, and adds thunder fruit, then it will definitely be Admiral's strength. Luffy didn't care. Forget it, you don't have a chance to go down. This made Enel's face sank, always speaking to himself in such a tone. However, he has not been able to hurt Luffy until now, instead he has been injured one after another, which is detrimental to the majesty of God. Nami and the others watched from a distance, indifferently, and felt that there was no need to make a move. Ganfor was shocked. Although he knew that Luffy would be very powerful, he also imagined that Enel was defeated and Sky Island was restored to its former peace and beauty. However, the fantasy is that Enel is defeated by the Straw Hats, not by one person. But now, when Enel faced Luffy, he was beaten up one after another, and Luffy was now unscathed, which was beyond his imagination. Ganfor marveled inwardly. This little brother is much stronger than I imagined, and he doesn't even take the self-proclaimed god Enel in his eyes at all. Listening to Luffy's words, seeing the arrogant Enel's face as extremely ugly many times, Ganfor is cool. Originally I was a little worried that it would be dangerous to anger Enel, but if Enel didn't do his best, then Luffy did his best. Looking at Luffy's confident gesture, Ganfor was sure that he didn't have all his strength. Ganfor looked forward to. Then, let me see your true strength, how strong you are. Ganfor thinks that he can see that next time. Enel, who can't go all out, can't force Luffy to go all out, right? Being despised, and being spoken to as a god in such a tone by Qinghai people, Enel burst into anger and quickly beat all the big drums behind him, which made Luffy look forward to it a little. After all, in the original plot, they didn't hit all at once, but hit 2 of the left and right shoulders at most, using 60 million volts of Tretron. Luffy would love to experience an interesting fight, under pressure, and allow himself to fight as much as he can, so his blood boils, so I hope Enel can surprise him. Luffy said, the so-called god, don't let me down again. No way. Enel's voice was low, beating fast, and the drums thumped. The 4 drums behind him burst out with lightning at the same time, and in an instant, 4 groups of electric current burst out. At the same time, Enel activates the Thunder Fruit ability, and his whole body is blue. Accompanied by the sound of wolf, dragon roar, tiger roar, and cry, 4 thunder beasts appeared. Thunderbird, Thunder Wolf, Thunder Tiger, Thunder Dragon, lifelike, more real than before, and look more ferocious. Enel drank lowly. 100 million volts, 4 thunder beasts. Immediately, the 4 thunder beasts roared out with terrifying power. Ganfor in the distance could not help trembling, not to mention 4, even if one attacked him, he would be killed, and he could feel the power of thunder and lightning from a distance. Enel is going to make a quick fight, looks at Luffy, and thinks he can always beat him, right? After all, this was the strongest move except Lei Ying, which was made in combination with Arc, and his own strongest move, Thor. Luffy blows with his hands, bulging, swinging back, lengthening behind him. Luffy's black arm, huge fist, like a bear's paw. After stretching back and suddenly slamming forward, Luffy growled. Guo mo guo moruo, grizzly gun. Boom, huge black fists blasted out, gathered together, and slammed into the 4 thunder beasts. The roar broke out, stalemate, and the 4 thunder beasts kept roaring. Accompanied by Luffy's low growl, his arms slammed forward, and with a puff, the 4 thunder beasts collapsed. This made Enel's face change greatly, and he quickly became elemental, and it was too late for him to dodge. The golden stick blocked, but the next moment King Lee's the huge black fist slammed into it, and with a click, the golden stick shattered directly. Puff! Enel was directly blown away and came into contact with the huge black fists. It could be clearly seen that Enel's face and whole body were flattened, he vomited blood, and screamed in pain. What? Whoosh! Enel was blasted out, as fast as a cannonball, smashing through many buildings along the way. Whoosh! Continuously flying upside down, more than 10 thick walls were smashed through, but Enel still showed no sign of stopping, and was still flying upside down. Enel's body was in severe pain, and his mind was buzzing, as if being hit by a sledgehammer. The pain was extremely painful. Boom boom boom. The roar continued, and Enel flew upside down until he disappeared from sight and flew out of the upper ruins. In place, only Luffy and the other 7 were left. Luffy said that one disappeared, it was Enel, and now in less than 5 minutes, one has indeed disappeared, and Enel has disappeared here. Ganfor was stunned. It's amazing. After Enel flew away from the upper ruins, he stood up in embarrassment and vomited blood. Enel's face became more and more ugly. God himself, lost. However, it has not completely lost, it is just a loss of face. When I lost the game, I didn't really have the full power, so I didn't lose to the Straw Hat. However, Enel did not go there again, but planned to drive the Ark. It's a shame to lose to you, so I'm going to kill you right now. Enel's face darkened and he headed to the Ark. I am the Almighty God, I cannot lose to him, I must deal with them. Upper ruins. Nami wondered. Didn't come back. Usopp guesses. Dead. Ganfor felt that Enel would not die so easily, guessing, probably not. Usopp smiled. That's why I don't dare to come, haha, what a god. But suddenly, the sky darkened, and you could see dark clouds spread out from the distant sky, and then continued to spread, quickly covering the entire Sky Island. For a time, the entire Sky Island sky was covered with dark clouds, shrouded in darkness, and it looked depressing. Look, the flying ship. Usopp was surprised. Luffy looked over and knew it had to pass. Ganfor said solemnly, it's Enel's ship, the Ark proverb. The ark continued to lift into the sky, and soon it was above the huge bean sprouts, and the black cloud was diffused from the ark. For a time, the entire Sky Island panicked. So, is that a boat? How is it possible? I have never seen a flying ship. The sky was darkened because of that ship, with the word, God, written on it. Could it be Enel? It should be. What he is going to do, there is a sense of unease. The people in Sky Island panicked and were inexplicably uneasy. On the ark, Enel's face was cold. Sky Island is about to end, and the lives of the angels and Qinghai people are also coming to an end. No one can stop it. Of course, even you can't stop it. The image of Luffy appeared in Enel's mind, and the thought made him angry. The anger subsided afterward, because Enel felt that he was going to die soon. Enel is arrogant. In this world, no one can beat me, and truly beat me, even you. When the words fell, Enel frowned slightly, and couldn't help but wonder, if the straw hat was opposite him and heard what he said, how would he answer? Still being sarcastic, making yourself furious. Could it be said that there are BHBJ monsters stronger than straw hats in Qinghai? Even quite a few. Thinking of this, Enel was angry. I'm definitely the strongest, no doubt about it. Enel felt that he could not have such thoughts, and having such thoughts meant that he was shaken, and God himself began to doubt his life and his own cognition. Straw Hat, prepare to witness a miracle. Luffy and the others came under the bean sprouts and looked up. Luffy said, I'll go up alone, and I'll knock him out in no time. Okay, then we won't go up. Nami, they believed Luffy could do it. Just then, Zoro came. Of course it wasn't Zoro's own boat, after all, a lunatic, apparently guided by Canis and her father. Before handing over, passed through the gate of heaven, and then the Mary stopped at the Sea of Clouds on Angel Island, and Zoro came here under the leadership of Canis. Otherwise, just talk about the road, and Zoro will get lost. Zoro said, I just came, it seems that I will be leaving soon. Zoro looked around with a strange expression on his face. Then wait for me here. After the words fell, Luffy jumped up and kept stepping on the bean sprouts. Each time he jumped, he could reach a height of 100 meters. At this time, everyone on Angel Island panicked, and everyone ran out and fled wildly. Because in the sky, there is a spherical black cloud that is getting bigger and bigger. They felt the danger of death and wanted to leave Angel Island as soon as possible. Gon Fuer's face changed greatly. This is Lei Ying. The power is so powerful that it can turn an island into dust in the blink of an eye, and can wipe out the people of a country. Ganfer was worried. Even if he knew that Luffy had passed, could he stop it? This had the power to destroy an island. Even Nami, Zoro and others, their pupils shrank, so terrifying. Usopp looked at the sky getting bigger and bigger, and the black huge cloud ball was falling, and he was sweating. It's like the end. At this moment, Enel stood on the huge cloud ball with his arms raised and sneered. Yeah, ha ha ha, the sky belongs to me. Enjoy it. As long as there is the motto of the Ark in my strength, such miracles can be released. On the dribble, Enel overlooked the entire Angel Island and felt like a god. The people of Angel Island wanted to resist him, and those from Qinghai, then he would punish them as a god and destroy them all. Enel also saw Luffy, who was going up, and his face was gloomy. The ground has lost to you, but the sky will not. I am a god, Thor. My power is combined with the Ark, and even you will be destroyed. So, dare to fight against Lei Ying. Stop me, and all the people below will die. Stop Lei Ying and you will die. Enel was curious about Luffy's decision and would not use God's punishment to stop Luffy from coming up. Instead, he expected Luffy to come up, and he actually lost just now, because Luffy, too shameful, must be recovered, and immediately. The whole Angel Island was dark and depressing, and everyone even gave up because it was too late. The destructive power is too great to escape the scope of destruction. Watching the black cloud ball getting lower and lower, some people slumped to the ground in despair. It's over, it's over. Are you going to die? I don't want to die, and I don't want my family to die. Who can save us? It's about to come down. Hey, there's no help. There's no point in saving someone, that's God. The people of Angel Island are desperate, terrified, know that someone is dealing with Enel, but also feel hopeless. Zoro and Sanji frowned. As it landed, it can be seen that this black cloud ball is like a huge meteorite, even larger than the entire Angel Island. Crackling. It can be clearly seen that the black cloud ball is raging with thunder and lightning, and when it falls, it bombs, and it can definitely destroy Angel Island. Luffy, who was constantly climbing up, knew that he couldn't let the cloud ball continue to go down, otherwise Enel would launch a thunderous welcome, and Angel Island would be over. Since he came here, his strength has changed, so Angel Island cannot be destroyed. Therefore, it must be blocked. Lei Ying's power is indeed powerful. Even if he wants to destroy it, he has to be serious. Attack with all your strength and defend with all your might. Luffy stared at the huge black cloud ball, raised his left hand in front of his mouth, and said sternly, "Then, you can only drive fourth gear. I hope everyone will support it and subscribe more."